Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome to the second ever installment of Shoot Your One-Shot Hazard Pay. With me as your GM and our four lovely players, one of whom is late, but we will get to that in just a second. Before we hop into Hazard Pay, quick round of introductions about what the heck this thing is. You are tuning into the second installment of Shoot Your One-Shot, which is a series of 4 one-shots set in Andake, which is Transplanar RPG's non-colonial anti-orientalist world. And all the guest players of the Shoot Your One-Shot series are folks who use the hashtag BIMPOC Shoot Your Shot at us on Twitter. So every person who is participating as a guest star is a queer, trans, a black, indigenous, and or person of color in tabletop RPG. So thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us. We will be collecting donations, through the run of the entirety of Shoot Your One-Shot. We're trying to hit 500 because this marks our halfway point for Shoot Your One-Shot. So if we hit 500 tonight, we're going to unlock our ultimate incentive, which will make the monster, right, stalking the halls of the Uhànahi Research Laboratory appear. And you can see, these fun incentives on where Jeremy's face cam is supposed to go, but Jeremy's going to be late, so we're going to use this real estate to display our incentives. But quick round of introductions. I'm Connie. I'll be your GM and producer for tonight. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter at @byconniechang, as well as on Itch and Patreon at @byconniechang to get exclusive GM tips and perhaps even the chance to tune into a live stream where I answer your Q&As about all the intricacies of DMing masks, D&D, pretty much anything else you might want to throw at me. And with that, I'm going to pass along introductions to Max.
Hello. I'm Max. I go by they, them pronouns. I play Dewey Quirk in our normal campaign, and I guess I also play Dewey Quirk in this campaign. I do some sewing. You can find me on Instagram at Stitchmonger and also on Etsy at the same name. I'm going to pass it to Munin. Munin?
Hi, my name is Munin. I use they, she pronouns. You can find me on Twitter retweeting lots of art and talking about Destiny memes at Velas Goodbye. It's a VELASKGOODBYE. I don't stream at the moment, but I'm going to, and it will be the same name on Twitch. And I'm going to pass it to Rue.
Hello, I'm Rue. I use they or he pronouns, and tonight I'll be playing Intrigue, who uses they or she pronouns. I sound a little bit like a frog today. You can find me on Twitter as @IlanaKnight13 and essentially everywhere else as just Ilana Knight. I am a game developer and a sensitivity reader for trans things, disability things, and also Romani and indigenous cultural elements. So if you need anything sensitivity read, I'm here.
Heck yeah, look at these amazing folks. When Jeremy comes in after the break, they will also be doing their own introduction. But for now, let's talk a little bit about hazard pay, right? Which is the premise of this particular one shot. A quick note about incentives. We're at 200, which means Intrigue and Athena, both of you have inspiration. So if we can get another $25 before the session starts, that would be amazing. Dewey, all 3 PCs will have inspiration. So if we can hit that, that would be amazing. But I'll stop for time for y'all to maybe wrestle through your wallets if you have some extra money. So the premise of this one shot is our 4 PCs are employees, beleaguered employees at the mysterious Uhànahi Research Laboratory, which is a magical and shadowy research facility on Nawa Island, which is a stormy island off the western coast of the mainland of Andake, which, as I mentioned earlier, is our non-colonial anti-orientalist world. These 3 lovely PCs, Dewey, Athena, and Intrigue, have been tasked with building a specialized containment unit, right? Which is basically a fancy word for a cage, for a very, very unique and special specimen, asset, entity, whatever you want to call it. The lovely folks over at Wetware are going to be helping with this transfer from their temporary CU or containment unit into this more permanent CU or containment unit. But of course, shit's gonna go down because transfers never happen smoothly. So on their way to QA or quality assurance, can our PCs keep this entity inside its specialized CU, or will it break out? Let's find out. So quick content warnings for this one shot so y'all can take care of yourselves. Content warnings include fantasy violence, gore, blood and bloodletting, dubious science and experimentation, monsters and monstrosity, and horror and body horror. This is a kind of horror, like survival horror one shot, so things might get a little intense in that vein. Use !CW at any point in this one shot to get a list of those content warnings for yourself. With that out of the way, my lovely players, am I missing anything before we hop into the meat of fun times?
Don't think so.
Okay, let's get started. The entity arrives at 2100 hours sharp, just like Archimedes Vosk over at Wetware had promised it would. The steel door separating Intake Sector 3 from the raging winds and lashing rains of Nawa Island shunt open with a mechanical groan and a twang of magic as the protective sigils power down. 4 burly workers from Wetware's Acquisitions and Release Department wheel a temporary containment unit into this vestibule where the 3 of you are waiting. Wetware's containment unit, which is a temporary measure, is covered with a sleek, leaf-spun tarp glistening with rainwater. The A&R workers wear protective coveralls, their faces obscured behind classic porcelain masks. It's a cold, dreary day in Raven, the second to last month of the year. Storm-lashed winds howl into the intake vestibule, stirring up sheafs of parchment and spitting rain against cement tile. As the A&R workers haul this covered CU into the intake room, we pan over now to the 3 of you. 3 hardware employees waiting to receive this delivery. Let's start with intrigue, as the camera pans over to you as you're waiting there. You've been waiting for an hour now. It's classic procedure to arrive at least 60 minutes early to any drop-off appointment. Tell us, Intrigue, what is your role on this team, and what do you look like? You are muted.
Sorry about that. I am a sea green tiefling with small horns, and I'm wearing a lab coat over a very colorful shirt. And I am a research assistant here at Hardware, and so it is my job to take very, very careful notes. I take a lot of notes on everything, so even though I have not been necessarily doing anything while waiting, I have been taking notes on essentially everything that happens for the last 60 minutes, even if it's not important.
How have you been taking these notes? Do you have a clipboard, a tome?
Yeah, I have a clipboard that is like this thick of paper, and I just move the sheets behind as I work.
What's one of the funnier things you've scribbled down about your fellow coworkers?
On the bottom of a sheet in the corner, it says, someone's mask is cracked, and underneath, they still have sauce on their face.
Yeah, you see like a big burly A&R worker, they're sort of going, like trying to get that little bit of barbecue sauce off their chin underneath their mask. But they're being subtle about it, but you pick up on this intrigue. And now I think like the camera pans over from the sea green tiefling scribbling on this thick notepad to Athena. Athena, what is your role on this team, and what do you look like?
I am an administrative assistant automaton. My job is to take care of all of the mundane minutia of the day-to-day work life here at the URL.
Unfortunately,
I am currently wearing a simple black white-collared dress. My hair is floofy and white, and my skin is a pale gray porcelain.
Wish my dads would have given me a better skin color, but whatever.
Interesting. We've got, it seems, a dual personality administrative assistant robot here. Wonderful. So Athena, while the camera pans over to you, what are you in the middle of doing? Are you just standing there waiting like your programming has directed you to? Or is your gaze wandering a little?
I am waiting patiently for the specimen to arrive. I'm also considering new bird puns to tell work friend Dewey.
Fantastic. Speaking of which, the camera now pans over to work friend Dewey, also known as Cardew Quirk. Cardew, you are, of course, the project lead on this case. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you look like?
I am a blue-gray Aarakocra pigeon. I've got big... I gotta remember how I described Dewey like a year ago. Got big, round, wire-rimmed glasses. And I'm wearing button-up, short-sleeve button-up, and shorts. And Dewey has just... What?
Shorts on this day of your professional work environment? Is it a casual dragon?
Yeah.
Lab shorts.
You know how you're allowed to have exposed skin. Dewey has just been in between receiving these bird puns. He's been kind of looking over at these for other employees who are bringing stuff in, and just kind of like trying to calculate how long it would take to build muscles like that.
You run the you roll, make an intelligence roll. First
16.
roll. Okay, 16. With your diet and with your lifestyle, never. But if you were to actually invest time, energy, and money into working out, it would take at least 3 months of 3 to 4 high-intensity weight training sessions per week and like increasing your protein intake. 3 months of that, you'll start to feel it on yourself. 6 months, other people will start to notice. This is actually true because
I forgot I asked Connie this.
You forgot that you asked a powerlifter this question. Okay, so moving on. The lead on this transfer and acquisitions and release worker with a name tag, right, that designates her as Oludun. She steps forward with a stone tablet as her teammates grunt and muscle the rest of the containment unit inside, right? And you see runes glowing dimly on the surface of this tablet. Oludun hands this tablet to you, Cardew, because you are the project manager. And over the screaming wind still lashing inside, think very much like an open garage door situation, and it's like storming outside, right? Oludun shouts, initial here, and here. Hurry up, it's freezing.
Okay. Dewey's scribbling down his name as many times as the paper asks him to, and kind of intimidated by this other employee.
Okay. As you're writing down, I think you're handed like a pen, like a stylus to initial on the tablet. And every time you're done with a quote unquote page, like the runes, ding, 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 they glitter and they like shudder and they change, right? That's how like quote unquote the pages flip on this tablet. While that's happening, Intrigue and Athena, what are the two of you doing? Or are you just waiting patiently?
I am currently watching the goings-on with the tablet, and I look over to Intrigue and I say, "This is very intriguing. Please rate my pun on a scale of 1 to 5.
That was a 4, I would say. It is very good.
It's the third time I've heard that one this week.
Yeah, it does not get too old. I am watching very intrigued at the changing runes and seeing how quickly I can copy the ones that I see onto my notes.
Yeah, why don't you also make an intelligence check for me to see how quickly you can write this down?
Will do. Not well. That's a 6.
You copy 6 runes down, right? And these runes are basically the legal minutia, right, of the URL. All contracts are done on like these special like magical stone tablets, right? And when you signed your NDAs, when you agreed to work here, or in Athena's case, when you were made to work here, perhaps the runes are built inside of the chassis, right, of your automaton armor, right? Magical binding sigils prevent you from talking about your work outside of the URL, right? And this tablet seems to be similar to that regard. It's paperwork, right? Uldoon takes the transfer tablet back from you, Cardew, and hands it off to one of her subordinates. She sort of jerks a gloved thumb at your containment unit. And now we pan behind the three of you, Cardew, Intrigue, and Athena, to see this piece of hardware that the three of you had been working on for the past couple of weeks, right? In preparation for this moment, for the transfer of the entity, right? And as we pan over to it, let's start with Cardew. Cardew, you received specific specifications about this particular piece of hardware. It needed to be soundproof, was the first one. It needed to be able to contain incorporeal entities, was the second spec. It needed to have a psychic barrier, was the third spec. And the final spec was it needed to be durable enough to withstand 500 pounds of force, like pushing out from the inside. Okay. There was let's say there was sort of like this was a rush order, right? As jobs at the URL usually are. As the project lead, roll a straight, or rather a queer D20 for me to see how well your team was able to stay on track.
12.
Okay, I'm going to treat that as a mixed success. It's missing one of these specs. What is it? There are
The
4. You only got 3.
the 500 pounds from the inside.
Okay, you think it's durable, but maybe not quite durable enough. So Cardew, tell me, of it being soundproof, able to contain incorporeal entities, and have a psychic barrier, which one did you take point on?
I took on the incorporeal form one.
Okay, how did you do it?
So I added like, so there's like, I think there's like glass around it, it, so you can see inside. But there are also like, there's a ring of what produces basically like radiation, to keep this thing from exiting the space that we're keeping it in.
Okay, like a glowing ring around the entire like square of this plexiglass cage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what color does it glow?
Indigo.
That's specific. All right,
Caught me off guard.
glowing indigo grid rings, I think, are sort of like strutted all around like the glass of this containment unit. And we see Uldoon like cock her head and nod a little bit. And now the camera pans over to Intrigue. Intrigue, you took point on either this containment unit being able to contain, being soundproof or having a psychic barrier. Which one did you choose?
Probably the soundproofing.
Okay, how did you soundproof it?
So one of my favorite things to do is make strange compounds when I have free time. And so I spent a lot of the time we were allotted to do this in mixing different chemicals. And eventually I managed to create a sort of like gel that when you place it in between things, stops the sound waves from escaping. So the chamber is lined with this weird sort of like gelatinous substance that holds the sound in. That's
really cool. Is it translucent or is it opaque?
Translucent.
Okay, so we can still see inside.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We see sort of like this like squishy, spongy substance between like the panes of glass, right? That like form the square of this containment unit. And like Intrigue, maybe you nod with a little bit of pride at that. Which leaves Athena with this having a psychic barrier. So Athena, though you were brought onto this project as only a lowly administrative assistant, because it was such a rush order, you found yourself taking on some developmental roles here. How did you implement a psychic barrier?
I crafted several small nodules that go inside of the tube and around the glass. They emit a psychic wave at a frequency that is normally reserved for incorporeal creatures.
Fantastic. What do they look like?
They look like small hockey pucks that glow with a slight purple pulse.
Okay, not indigo, purple.
Purple, yes, to match Dewey's indigo.
Fantastic. Okay. We're queer up in this bitch, I see. So we see these little like glowing purple hockey puck like things, just sort of like, maybe this thing looks like a D6, right? It's got like little like pips, right? Like on each like side for like the psychic barrier, right? That sort of like pulse like to the rhythm of like the almost like the LEDs like along the edges of this cube, right? Okay. It's very, very gamer core. So I think Uldoon jerks her thumb at this permanent CU the three of you had built, like, rush order. She says, "At the permanent CU? You the project lead, is that it?"
Yeah, that's it.
All right, good. Okay, the three of you know the drill. We'll transfer the asset. Three of you out. And she's indicating a door deeper inside this vestibule, up a narrow flight of stairs, where the three of you know there's a waiting room beyond it. And you also know that Wetware is notoriously cagey about their assets, right? Few hardware workers have ever seen an entity, much less interacted with one. And it's standard practice to wait out of sight, out of mind, while Wetware transfers entities from one containment unit to another. What do the three of you do?
I'm going to stand and wait.
Okay.
The monster?
What else would I be waiting for?
Dewey's certainly not excited to be in the same room as whatever's under this tarp. So he's gonna like take a couple of glances behind him and hurry towards the door.
Okay, intrigue.
Big really wants to see the monster, but also does not want to lose their job. So they are going to follow, but go as slow as possible in the hopes that perhaps they will release it before they get up the stairs.
Okay, intrigue. Make a perception check.
16.
16. You'll catch a glimpse. You'll catch just the tiniest glimpse. As Cardew, Athena, I'm assuming you're also moving with your team, or are you staying there?
I go where my team goes.
Fantastic. What a good robot. Athena and Cardew hustle up the stairs, and the two of you can hear like the wetware workers like grunting, like as they like line up the covered CU next to your glowing cube like CU, right? And Intrigue, you cast like a subtle glance over your shoulder, just enough time before the door slams shut at the top of the stairs to see these four workers pull the tarp off of the temporary CU, and you see a glimpse of a shadowy wisp and something very fast moving, like quickly, and then the door closes behind you. And with a 16, I'll allow you to ask one follow-up question about what I just described.
Was it fast-moving smoke, or was there something in the smoke?
Neither.
Right.
Neither. Sort of like the smoke was the thing, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So the three of you are now inside this like small windowless quote unquote viewing chamber or waiting room. It's just sort of like a log shaped like room where you just sit there and you twiddle your thumbs as you wait for Wetware to finish the transfer, right? So while the waiting's occurring, what do the three of you do?
Would anyone care to play a game of Boulder Parchment Shears?
Would love to.
Excellent. Mandatory work friend Dewey, would you care to join us as well?
I don't think three-person. No, you go ahead.
You can be the champion round if you like.
Sure. Let's see how this one goes.
Okay, Athena and Intrigue roll a d20 against each other. Just a queer d20.
15.
Athena?
I have rolled a 13.
Okay, so Intrigue, you beat Athena. So what did you pick, Intrigue? And Athena will have picked the losing one.
Shears.
Shears! Oh, so it's parchment. So sorry, Athena. As you throw out your hands, you see like this little pair of like scissors that you formed. And now is it time for Cardew to take the championship round?
Suppose? Sure.
All right, both of you roll d20 against each other.
11.
I got a 17.
All right, so Cardew, which one did you pick?
Boulder.
Boulder. So Intrigue, you threw out shears and on the two of you throwing out like a boulder and a shear, the three of you feel the ground shake a little, right? And this room is soundproof, so you shouldn't be able to hear anything beyond it, but you do sense vibrations, just very quickly.
You tighten the last screws on the finishing part, right? Right?
I looked to Intrigue, as that was not me. Or was it?
No, I did not do that.
Oh no.
Go ahead, Cardew.
I'm sure they can handle it. I'm sure they're handling it.
Perhaps we should take cover. This seems like earthquake scenario.
Is there any cover in the room?
It is just like a blank room. It feels like a prison waiting cell, right? There's nothing in here, not even a closet or a hook for you to hang your lab coat on.
Dewey curls into a ball.
See if they're okay.
You want to do that? You want to go back
Yeah.
down there? Oh no! Don't. You're gonna get us all in trouble.
Oh, that's fair. Is it more trouble if we sit in here and wait and they all die, or more trouble if we see it?
They signed up for this. If they die, they die.
It would mean a lot of paperwork, though.
Oh, and that's your thing, huh?
If they all die, then we certainly would also die. So I'm good up here.
Okay. Dewey, you make your way over to the door. Your feathered hand reaches for the knob. Maybe like your fingertips are quivering a little. And then the knob turns and it opens. And you see the porcelain mask of Uldoon, right? And she looks totally fine. She looks normal, a little rain lashed, right? But her gloved hands are propped on her waist, and she goes, all right, the transfer's done. Take this asset down to QA, and we'll be out of your hair. A&R out. And Uldoon starts striding toward this like open door where you can hear like the howling rain still like lashing in. You can see like raindrops like pattering the cement floor of this intake vestibule. And you see your permanent containment unit underneath the tarp. It appears that the wetware workers have placed their like tarp over yours, and they're wheeling what just looks to be a normal steel cage right out of the vestibule. That's got like bars, right? And like your hockey pucks, right, and the special like lines, glowing lines you put onto the containment unit, Dewey, are glowing underneath the tarp. You can see them like pulsating, almost like bioluminescent jellyfish, like underneath the tarp. And as Uldoon is turning to leave, she throws over her shoulder, "Oh yeah, and don't remove the tarp, okay?"
Very well. Did a query? What was the rumbling?
Oh. Yeah, this asset is a little bit of a tricky one, okay? It's what we call a volatile unit. All right, over in wetware. You don't want to look at it. It's a no eyes, no ears, no mouth situation. You don't want to look at it. You don't want to listen to it. You don't want to talk to it. Got it?
Perfect.
What was it?
Perfect.
All right. One of the weirder administrative robos I've ever seen. Any other questions before my boys and I head out?
One of
Okay.
Athena's eyes just flickers.
The porcelain mask lingers on your flickering eye, Athena, and then Aldun jerks her head toward the exit, and the wetware workers pile out. They hit a button on the outside of the intake vestibule and right, like the big, like metal, like door, like closes down, and you see like the protective sigils like flicker back on the inside. That prevents things from the outside breaking in or things from the inside breaking out. And now it's just the three of you with your covered CU and a objective. You have to take the CU to QA, quality assurance, with the asset inside. There is a door that will lead into a hallway where you can start making your way through sectors 9, 8, and 7 to make your way to QA. What do the three of you do?
Who would like to play Boulder Parchment Shears to see who pushes it?
Do we all have to? Is it heavy?
Let's say maybe like there's a pallet underneath it with like wheels on it so you can wheel it.
Okay. I mean, I will push it as long as I can also take the notes while I do so.
I'll walk ahead. I know where we're going, and I'm not super strong, and I don't want to touch it. You good with that, Athena?
That works for me.
Okay. Cardew, you lead the way to one of the apertures at the side of this vestibule. You place your feathered hand on like on a stone tablet with like several runes on it, and the runes glow and pulse underneath your palm, and then the wall just sort of crumbles open, right, to reveal like a long dark hallway with these like floating motes of light drifting toward the ceiling, almost like fireflies on like a sticky summer night, right, that like light your way toward QA. What do the three of you do?
Is there a chance that from where I am pushing the cart, I can slightly lift it up and see it?
Yes, but you will be playing with fire here, my good friend. Why don't you roll a sleight of hand check as you and Athena together start pushing this thing, right? And Cardew leads the way to see if you can lift this tarp without dire consequences.
19.
Okay, 19, not quite sufficient, but close. So describe to me what it looks like as you lift a corner of this tarp.
I sort of like lean down as if I need to adjust my clipboard, and I try to catch the corner of it with my clipboard and pull it up, but it does not quite work.
But just a little bit, right? You're just lifting it up with the corner of your clipboard? Okay.
Yeah.
So you lift it up. You see something shifting, right, on the exposed corner of this glass panel, under the indigo lights of Dewey's sigil, right, and the purple light of Athena's like hockey puck. You see like a black, shadowy, wispy mass, just sort of like furiously, like pulsating against the inside of this containment unit. And I think with your 19, you also see just like a quick eyeball just gliding like down into the corner, and like a purple iris slides up the sclera and like gazes right at you. So I just need you to make a intelligence saving throw for me.
Okay.
Here come the saving throws.
20, not natural.
Okay, that is sufficient. So you feel something like almost like a baseball bat of psychic energy slam against your cranium, right? But you're able to ward off whatever psychic attack this was, right? And as you do, you see and you hear one of the hockey pucks on this side of the glass panel crack. Like you see like a spider web just crack open on it. And I think maybe your clipboard slips and the tarp falls down, and maybe like you reel a little bit. So Intrigue, describe to me how you reel.
I sort of like shudder and like take a moment and step back and sort of like release the cart and like have to go pick up my pen again because I have dropped it.
Okay. I think maybe your fingers are tremoring as you like pick up the pen, and it takes like a couple tries for you to scoop it up. And by this point, Athena, you no longer feel Intrigue helping you along, like pushing this down this hallway, like the wheels sort of stop, right against like the cement floor. Athena, what do you do?
I see. This is a fun prank Intrigue, but it would be more helpful if you helped me push this. Are you having trouble with your pen?
Yes. It is okay. My hands are a little shaky. It's okay. Sorry, I did not mean to abandon you.
That is okay. Is your hand shaking like an aftershock to the earthquake?
Maybe, yeah. And they hold their hand up and it's like this.
Cardew, you hear this, and you don't hear the wheels rolling anymore. You're barely halfway down this corridor. What do you do?
I'm desperately looking back at how far my team is away from me and the door at the end of the hall. I'm just saying, what's happening? Come on, I want to get this over with. What? Intrigue? You okay?
I'm fine, yes.
Okay, come on.
Let us resume.
Okay. Athena and Intrigue, you continue pushing this containment unit, right? Down the hallway. Intrigue, are you gonna bring up the fact that you saw one of the protective psychic barriers crack? Or are you gonna hold on to that?
Yes, I'm once I have sort of come back to my senses, I will turn to Athena and say, you made the barriers, yes, the psychic ones.
Yes, that was me.
One, thank you. And two, I worry that this thing may be very strong. I think one of them is cracking.
This is another funny prank, but I don't think it's the time for those.
Oh, yeah, no.
On that, you reach the end of the hallway, Cardew. There's another, there's no door, right? There's no doors really in the URL. There's just areas that are marked with sigils that if you are a qualified employee, you put your hand on a panel and the wall will just crumble open. So you see a blue sigil which marks that this door can be activated, right? You place your palm on a panel nearby and the wall crumbles open. To reveal a series of branching hallways, right? And occasionally, you see like a glass panel, like sort of like along a hallway, which reveals like a not currently in use laboratory or like a workshop for hardware employees to test out their latest inventions and like try out their latest like innovations and mechanics and whatnot. So here you see like a couple of like other employees at the URL, just a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 walking down these hallways. The only still in use workshop is workshop F, which is maybe a little ways down the hallway and to the right. And you can see some light glowing from like the inside, like the inside of an illuminated workshop, where you see like these spindly instruments. You hear like of like a saw going, right? And you see like a suit of armor that's sort of like in the middle of being built. But this is maybe like 60 feet down this hallway. And as like an employee, a coworker walks by, they turn to face the 3 of you, and they go, I'm just about to go to my break. Good luck with cleaning up the rest of your shift.
Cleaning up?
Yeah, you're just taking this CU to hardware, to quality assurance, eh?
Ah, I see. Yes, we are.
Great. Don't forget, we got a betting pool going on who's gonna die by the end of this week. So, if you want to get in on it, tonight's the deadline. End of the week, eh?
What's the buy-in?
I don't know if administrative robos get to buy in. Sorry, company policy.
We bet on ourselves.
You can, but where would the payout go to?
I'll
You
bet on
can
you.
toss it into the sea.
That seems like a waste of funds. And as the person in charge of the pot this week, I'ma say no.
Fair enough.
Dewey, what were you saying?
Dewey's just like, yeah, I'll bet on intrigue. I'll talk to you later, but we gotta go.
Sounds good. See you in the break room. And this employee, walks off, right? I think they're sort of like a grizzled, kind of grungy looking red-skinned tiefling with these little nubby goat horns, right? And like a little mustache growing around their face. And they peel off. The three of you continue wheeling the CU on its pallets, rattling, right? Like down this hallway. You're walking past these abandoned, not in use workshops, the lights are off. So you just sort of see the hulking shadows of various machinery, right? And tools just sort of looming in the dark. Some of them look vaguely humanoid, but it's just mannequins where they test, primitive weaponry and whatnot. And you, I think you just turned the corner, right? And the three of you are walking past this, still in use workshop where you see just one person working a late shift, right? They've got a little sort of faceplate on and they're using a saw to cut a piece of metal, right? And they're so engrossed in their work, they don't even look up as the three of you wheel it past, right? And as you do, I need the three of you to make a perception check for me, please.
$15.
Also 15.
Okay.
9.
15, 9. Cardew, you are leading the way down this hallway, so I don't know if you're, fully paying attention to the CU behind you. Athena and Intrigue. Both of you hear a, thump, thump, thump. Almost like fists pounding against the inside of the CU, but muffled, right? And you feel the pallet shake a little as you're wheeling it. What do the two of you do?
Mandatory work friend Dewey, I believe we have a situation.
A what?
A situation. The unit is banging. Like this.
Well, stop. You saw it. You felt it move?
Yes, I felt it. And now that you mention it, in case that it wasn't a prank, Mandatory work friend Intrigue mentioned that one of my psychic barrier objects is cracked.
What?
Yes, it was not a prank. I'm not particularly good at those. You know that, Athena. It has eyes.
You looked at it? What?
Only
Oh my
a little
God.
bit.
Oh my God. They're gonna kill me. How far away are we from the place we're going?
You're several sectors away. At this rate, it'll take you 10 minutes to wheel it there.
I agree. We should not look at it anymore. It was bad.
It was bad that you looked at it in the first place. Okay. Athena, do you know how to fix the thing? Close your eyes and fix the thing on the CU?
I could certainly try, but I feel like uncovering it with the tarp would disobey one of the directives I was given.
If it broke out, that would be worse, I feel like.
More directives break if it breaks out.
Yeah.
You make a valid point. I could attempt this.
Okay. Athena, are you going to cover your eyes, or are you going to look at it as you try to fix your barrier?
I'm going to turn off my optical sensors, so my eyes are technically closed.
Okay. What about you, Intrigue and Cardew, as Athena starts reaching for the tarp?
I'm going to close my eyes immediately.
Okay. Cardew?
I'm staring at it and like running my hand behind me along the wall behind me to look for to feel for like an emergency pull switch. But there probably isn't one.
No, I don't know if there is. I really love that touch though. So Cardew and Indrik, you back away a little, you close your eyes. As Athena, your optical sensors have been cut, and you feel with your hands, right? And the tarp, like the rain sleek tarp, and you pull it off. None of you see it, right? And because it's soundproof, I don't think any of you hear anything either. You just hear the tarp come down. And Athena, how are you trying to fix this thing?
So I imagine Athena's like fingertips would sort of like open up and like little tools would come out of the ends of them. So that way she could attempt to like fuse the cracked kind of hockey puck back together, and like resolder the wires that are on the inside, anything that may have been cut.
Okay, make a medicine check. Medicine check on the cage.
That was a natural one.
Okay, that makes sense to me, I think. I think that's a good way to segue into the next part of this one shot. Athena, your optical nerves are cut. You feel like your fingertips spring open, right? Like there's a depressuring sensation as tools come out of your hands, and they start like feeling like the edge of this, cage where Intrigue had indicated there was a crack, and you feel it. You feel sort of like a hairline crack, right, in the glass. That's a good sign. It's not that deep at all. It's totally fixable. You feel like the hockey puck where the crack is originating from, and you're thinking to yourself, this is super solvable. Like, I can do this. Like, this is no problem. Like, I could do this with my eyes closed, and you're literally doing it. But as like your tools start repairing this crack, I need the three of you to make a dexterity saving throw.
I'm good at those.
10.
Okay, 10 from Dewey.
20, not natural.
Okay, a natural 20.
17.
Okay. Intrigue and Athena, you're going to take half damage. Cardi, you're going to take full. The unit explodes. Or rather, it's what feels like an explosion, right? Because your eyes aren't open. The three of you feel just like glass, like shards embed themselves like into your lab coat, like slash against your face, right? Like as like this massive like something breaks out, right, from the inside of the CU. And there's also a sound like rupturing ocean and sky, right? Almost like a thunderbolt, just like a big clap of like enforced energy, like exploding outward from the CU that Athena was trying to mend. And the three of you, the full damage is this, so take half, are going to take that's 9 points of force damage, full. So we'll round down and say that's 4 points of force damage for Athena and Intrigue. And Cardew, because you did not save, you are also flung back, like away from this cage. And I think your body like skids down the hallway, and I think your back slams into the far wall at the other end. What do the three of you do?
I feel as though I was not successful.
Do you reattach your optic nerves, Athena? Do you open your eyes?
Yes, I reattach my optic nerves and look at the scene around me and see the glass spread around my mandatory work friends. And poor work friend Dewey!
I love that. What about you, Intrigue?
I'm also to open my eyes.
Okay. The two of you open your eyes, and Cardew, I'm also assuming you're opening your eyes too, sort of like woozy at the end of this hall, blasted like 15 feet away. You all see that the top of this containment unit has been smashed open, right? Almost as though there was like a massive sledgehammer from the inside that just burst it open. And Cardew, like a quick liability report, like flutters past your mind as you think, I was unable to like meet the specifications required. Like you were unable to take the 500 pounds of force, like
I didn't think about the top.
The top, exactly. And there is nothing inside. It's just empty. It's completely empty. And to your left, Intrigue and Athena, is sort of like that glass viewing window into the workshop. And that has also been burst open by the force of this explosion. And you see like the worker inside, like they've lifted up their mask and they're looking around wildly. I think they're like a Leonin person, right? So they're like big lion-like eyes are like widened and they're like their hands are shaking a little as they're holding like a saw. What was that? What happened?
If the shadows are moving, don't look at them.
What?
It was
What
a
are you-
shadow?
What shadow?
It
If they
appears the
move,
creature that was
don't
in
look at
containment.
them.
Yes, Athena.
Oh, it appears that the creature that we had in this containment unit has broken out.
What? What? You had to transfer from wetware and it got out?
It appears so.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, I have a daughter. I have a wife. I can't. And then the three of you see their body just poof, like they drop like to the ground, right? And the viewing panel is like maybe like 7 feet off the ground, so you don't see where they drop to, but you do hear them scream. And you hear like the clanging of objects as you hear like their body being dragged. And you see like the work table that they were working on like fall over and like tools spill out, and you hear this Leonin person just go, "Oh no, oh my god, oh my god!" And their voice cuts off. But
you think
there's
it's
still like a
still too late
thrashing
to-
noise. Go ahead, Athena.
Do you think it's too late to get on that betting pool?
As you say this,
You might be able to catch up if you run.
No, don't leave us.
as the three of you stand there, like realizing like what the hell just happened, the glowing motes of light that like float along the ceiling of like all the underground recesses of the URL, they usually glow like a soft like yellow, suddenly turn red, like a deep crimson red, and the three of you are bathed in this like bloodbath light, right? And the red begins to pulse, and the three of you hear sort of like a low droning siren, just a bing, and a voice sort of starts echoing across this entire sector that says, "Lockdown initiated. Containment breach. There has been a containment breach. Sectors 9, 8, and 7 are in quarantine until the entity can be contained. Lockdown initiated. Containment breach." And it's sort of playing on loop, I think, this entire time. What do the three of you do?
Activating URL emergency extermination protocols.
Yes, good. Okay, you go in front.
I have a question, DM.
Yes, go for it.
Do we have our like weapons and things on us?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Don't worry, I will not strand you without them. No, you,
Okay.
you have them.
I would like to take out my scimitar and run it across my hand and activate my blood right.
Okay. Which blood right are you activating?
I am activating. 1 second, I need to see which one I chose. I forgot. Where is it? Where on D&D is my things? My blood curse. It's the right of the storm. So I slash it across my hand, and the blade sort of becomes electrified across the metal part.
Okay, I really like that. We see like right, like the tempest, the fury of Mahu's like lightning strikes just sort of ricochet up the length of your scimitar as the blood transforms into pure magic, right? And we see like a little bit of this blood still like dribbling down your wrist, right? Like red rivers like running down your arm as you do this, and you're getting to like a battle ready stance. Dewey?
Dewey is perhaps a little bit less intimidating. He's holding his wrench at the ready, which is oversized, but it's still like only like a foot long.
A foot long wrench?
It's
We should make a
big-ass
deal
wrench.
with Subway. Dewey's foot long wrench. Okay. Okay, you pull out this foot long wrench that's like heavy in your hands, right? And you're like looking around. And Athena, you've activated your battle-ready protocol, your extermination directive. So what do the three of you do? How are you trying to go about this, right? You just saw this Leonin person get pulled down and dragged, presumably, and they stopped screaming. And I don't think any of you saw where this entity went, right? But Intrigue, you do know that it's kind of wispy and it's got eyes.
I think we should go into the lab and see if we can tell where it went.
That seems as good an idea as any.
Okay. Let's go. You stay in the front.
I will
I'm
stay
not-
in the front.
Thank you. Oh my god, they're
and,
gonna kill me.
As Athena walks in, you just see the right sleeve of her dress shreds from the elbow down to the hand as her forearm extends out and switches around components until where her hand originally was is now a cannon. And then her eyes shift from blue to red, and she just sort of strolls in with the cannon arm facing upwards, bent at the elbow.
That is freaking amazing. I love that. I think the three of you walk around. Are you bringing the shattered remains of the CU with you, or are you leaving it there in the hallway?
I don't want to tote it around. It's broken glass.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, unless we were able to fix the glass, I don't think it would be functional.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to leave it there on the pallet. That's fine. I just wanted to know. The three of you skirt around the shattered remains of the top of the CU, and you approach the door to this dimly lit workshop chamber, right? And the inside of this chamber is also fluctuating, pulsing with red light, almost like a heartbeat, goof, 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 of the URL's hardware sector. And as you approach, a motion sensor activates and like a glass door at the front slides open, and the three of you step into a ruined workshop. Overturned workbench, chairs thrown akimbo. You see tools just scattered across this cement floor. You see vials have been shattered in the struggle, and strange smoking liquids are just sort of suffusing the air, right? As you step in, I need the three of you, except Athena, because you're not organic. So just Intrigue and Cardew to make just a con save, right? As these vials with various liquids start foaming through the atmosphere.
19.
Okay, 19. Cardew.
5.
Oh my god. So we did hit 225. Thank you, Crude Imposter Nightbright. So Cardew, you do have inspiration. So I think our bases are fully loaded. I think all three of you have inspo. I'll leave it up to you when you want to use it. So Intrigue, you're going to take half damage. Cardew, you're going to take full. Not a lot, don't worry. Full damage is 4 points of poison damage. So 2 points of poison damage for Intrigue. As I think your nostrils sizzle.
Oh, I don't know if it matters to you. I took 2 points from my blood, right?
Okay, good to know. Just make sure you're tracking that on your sheet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, a little cut in your hand. The three of you step forward. This is the immediate scene of the attack, right? You're going to have to investigate a little bit deeper if you want to find the body. Where did this creature go? How could it have gotten in or escaped? So how are the three of you going about investigating the scene?
Could I do a check to see if there's anything vents in the room?
Yes, you can. Roll investigation.
That is a 13.
Your eyes, your red eyes that are sort of glowing under the crimson light, scan the edges of this workshop chamber, and you see at the far end in the ceiling a vent. Maybe a 5x5, right? Vent that typically will suck out noxious fumes and filter it outside. There's a filtration system, and because you were built to work here, that all of hardware is connected through a series of complex vents and a filtration system. You see a single vent in the ceiling. Intrigue and Cardew, what are the two of you doing?
Is the body in the room still?
I won't even make you roll investigation for that because it would be really hard to miss if it were. Yes. Tell me, are you like picking through like the rubble and the wreckage?
Yeah.
Okay. Intrigue's scimitar at the ready, right? Lightning jutting off the steel. You nudge aside like several of the overturned workbenches. You step over shattered glass and strewn tools. And at the very far back of this workshop chamber, you see a slumped over Leonin. They're just sort of like against like. They're like slumped against the wall, their head down, like a little like string of drool dribbling against their chest. And it's gonna take a roll to see if they're like alive or dead, but they're not like missing limbs, like they don't have gashes or anything. They just sort of look like they're asleep almost, right? But they're like slumped against it. What do you do?
Should I make a medicine check?
Yes, you should. As you crouch down and approach. Right, this person's limp body. I'm gonna need you to make a dex save.
Okay. 12.
That is not quite sufficient. You're trying to get close to make a medicine check. Maybe your hand is reaching out, like your other hand's gripping the scimitar, when this body suddenly lunges to life, right? Like this big maned head snaps up and like the jaws like gnash against each other, and this Leonin scientist lunges for your neck and chomps down, and you're going to take not a lot of damage. Don't worry, just a spindly scientist. Two points of piercing damage. Right, as they chomp down on your neck, and they grip onto you. So I need you to make a strength contest.
I'm not good at those. That's an 18 minus 1 for 17.
That is actually not going to be quite sufficient. They remain on you, right? Like their clawed hands, like one grips onto your other shoulder, the other one's grabbing you by the hip, and they're like still like biting onto you. Like they've been driven wild by something. Cardew, sorry, Intrigue. Yes, how do you respond to this?
Can I use my blood curse of binding or no?
I will allow you to do that, but first I want Cardew to have a chance to respond. Okay, maybe right now you're like, like in the middle of getting attacked, right? Cardew, you see Intrigue get jumped by like a limp body of this Leonin scientist. What do you do?
Oh, jeez, do I want to go towards it? Yeah, I'm gonna move towards the middle of the room. See if Intrigue is okay, gonna be okay on their own.
But you're not gonna jump in to help. You're just gonna be watching.
I mean, he did bet for
oh my God.
Intrigue to die.
Oh my God.
I'm at half health.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm like stepping on glass. I'm like tripping over my own feet.
Okay, but how are you reacting to Intrigue getting attacked? Are you like shouting? Are your like feathers getting ruffled? Like, paint me a word picture.
I'm screaming at, I think, Athena. I'm like, can you do something? What? Yeah, just panic.
Athena, how do you respond?
Well, looks like the party got started.
What party?
Question for Dewey. Are you like visibly like not doing well? You said you were at like half health.
Yeah, I think he's like, he just got like blasted by an explosion, so he's like, feathers are all rumpled and he's bleeding a little bit, but he's like, his feathers are always rumpled, so.
Okay, so he doesn't look like he's like about to croak.
No.
Okay. In that case, I will remain in position and activate Pyro Mode.
Okay.
And I'm going to shoot Firebolt at the scientist that is currently holding Intrigue.
Okay, make an attack roll. If it misses, you'll hit Intrigue.
It's okay, I'm fire resistant.
I'm so sorry, Intrigue. I rolled a 10.
That is not quite sufficient, so roll damage as usual, but against Intrigue.
I rolled a 9.
Okay. So that's half damage because you took infernal
Yes.
resistance. Okay,
Yes.
so that is only going to be 4 points of damage for you, Intrigue. So what does it look like as you activate Pyro Mode and shoot Firebolt?
Oh my god. So the sort of barrel of the cannon that's like in her arm, it just starts to like pulse red and it starts to glow brighter, like getting to that like maximum heat of fire. And rather than it being like orange and red flame that shoots out, it's like a white flame that comes out of the end of it. And unfortunately hits Intrigue.
Yeah, I think just like a bolt of white fire slams into like Intrigue's back, right? And you feel like this heat wash over you, right? Maybe you grit your teeth a little. You smell some singed hair, and you realize it's your hair that's getting singed that you're smelling, right? And you're like the top part of your lab coat like catches on fire, right? The good thing about this is this makes the Leonin person let go, right? Gah! Like they release you, and they shove their way backward until their back hits the wall again, and they like come to like a sort of crouched over stand. And the three of you see that there's something seriously wrong with your coworker, right? Like their eyes are streaked through with this like their scleras are completely black. Right, when they weren't before. This wispy shadow streaked through with like crimson bolts is now like taking over like the inside of their eyes, and you see this like these black and crimson veins like spreading out from their eyes, right? And they're like drooling a little with this like black and like crimson gunk coming out of their mouth. They look unwell, to say the least. What do the three of you do?
Probability that they are possessed is very likely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Thank you.
I think if it's okay, could I try to grapple them?
Yes. How are you? You tell me how. Just launch yourself at them and try to restrain them.
Sure. So Athena will start to like walk forward, and the cannon arm starts to shift again, and then the other sleeve rips apart, and that starts to shift around until she has like these two like much larger gauntlet arms, and she's just going to attempt to like dive forward and hold him like in place, even if she has to go. Like, I mean, his chest is facing us, right?
Yes. They use they them pronouns.
Oh,
Just
they.
to
I'm
put
so
that
sorry.
in there. Yeah. No worries. No worries. No way for you to know.
So then yeah, Athena, even if she has to go against their chest, that's fine. Like just try to hold them in place, back against whatever wall they're on, and hope that either Dewey or Intrigue has some ideas of what to do next.
Okay, sounds good. So make a strength athletics contest against their acrobatics. What'd you get,
I
Athena?
am rolling so great tonight. 7.
Okay, you are able. I'll give you a hard choice. You can either restrain them, but take some damage as they chomp at you, or they break free and you're within melee of them.
Athena is more concerned with trying to keep a coworker safe and not allow them to be, die or be permanently injured. So I think she'll risk the damage.
Okay, so you wrap your big gauntlet arms around them and you restrain them, right? But they're thrashing against you, and they open up their jaws that you see are like this like black red like liquid sloughing off their mouth, and they bite into you. And because they're right up on you, you're gonna take the full brunt of that bite. You are going to take 7 points of piercing damage as they just chomp against the carapace of your shoulder armor. I can like feel some of like your steel like armor like flaking off, right? And there's like a ding 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 sound as screws come loose, pop off of your body, and like roll against the floor. Athena, what do you say?
Please cease and desist aggressive actions.
Okay. Cardew, Intrigue. This thing is restrained. It's biting at Athena. What do the two of you do?
Dewey's moving just close enough to Intrigue to grab like her lab coat or something and like pull away from Athena and crazed coworker.
Should we? I think the thing might be either in them or controlling them. Should we try to knock them out?
How do we get a thing out of a person? Do you have any experience? I don't have. I've never done this.
No. I don't have notes about this.
Whatever you do, don't cross the streams.
I think as the two of you are sort of like frantically debating what to do, as like Athena is like losing more and more parts of her structural integrity to this thing chomping. This Leonin, you don't know if they're possessed, if they're being controlled. Like they suddenly stop biting Athena as Athena speaks about crossing the streams and secrets. Horrible, 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 horrible secrets. How did the three of you respond?
Query, what kind of secrets are you talking about?
Deep, terrible, no good, spiraling secrets. Primordial, older than death and birth of the universe.
Oh. Has anyone heard of this? This is not my expertise.
Have we?
Why don't the three of you make a history check? Arcana. Arcana, not history.
Oh, no.
I got a 3.
21.
Okay.
16.
Okay, Cardew, you are way too freaked out, I think, to like make heads or tails of what this thing is saying. Intrigue. This is intriguing. Something about this possessed, for lack of a better term, Leonin's words, secrets, seems to be a very specific choice of words. Spiraling. Something about this makes you feel like it's related to the URL in some way. Right, related to wetware, maybe, in some way, and wherever this creature came from, right? Athena, with a 21, there is more than meets the eye to this creature, right? There's something about it that is pinging your built-in instincts, quote unquote, that have been given to you by your fathers, right? This isn't just a straight up monster possession case. There is more to this, right? There is a deeper mystery here for you to unravel. Okay, with a 21. And it seems to be referencing some sort of apocalypse, right? Based on its words also with a 21. With this knowledge, how do the three of you respond?
We tell if it is puppeting the Leonin from inside or outside?
Oh yeah, good point. With your 16 and with your 21, Athena, yes, this thing is inside the Leonin, right? Like it's similar to like how you've seen ghosts work, right? Or even like demonic possessions. Yeah, this thing is like physically and spiritually inside this person.
Are you friend or foe?
I'm not. Let me go. What do you want with me? What do you want with me? You've taken enough from me. Let me go.
Is this my coworker or the creature speaking?
Roll insight.
That is a natural 20 for a 22.
I will give you an answer, and with a natural 20, you can ask a follow-up question. My answer to, is this my coworker or the creature speaking, is yes. What's your follow-up question, Athena?
What has been taken from you, creature?
My freedom, my body, my Who am I? What am I? Secrets. Horrible. Cursed knowledge. Horrible secrets. Horrible. It must stop. Just let it stop the pain. And then Athena, Intrigue, and Cardew. I need the three of you to make a Constitution saving throw.
16.
Okay.
That is a 22.
22.
It's a 10.
Okay. So Intrigue and Cardew, the two of you are going to take full damage. I don't know what's going on with your rolls, Max. Athena, you're going to take half. Let's see. How much? Full is going to be 10. Okay, so half is 5.
Holy
I'm
shit.
not doing well.
Okay,
Okay.
Dewey does look like he's on the edge of
Edge
passing
of
out
dying.
right now.
Okay. And this damage is going to be psychic damage, right? As just like this, like, these black wisps explode, like, out of this Leonin person's, like, mouth. And, like, blasts into all three of you. And Athena, I need you to also make a strength saving throw to see if you can maintain your grapple on this person.
That is an 11.
And 11, that is not quite sufficient. I think they like push you off, right? And you feel like the pistons like controlling your joints, like sort of like decompress, right? As your arms are shoved open, and this Leonin person staggers backward. The wisps that exploded out of this Leonin person sort of like circle around toward the ceiling of this workshop chamber, almost like dark storm clouds beginning to form, covering up like the glowing, pulsing crimson motes of light that are sort of like dangling against like the top of this chamber, darkening this room, right? And you see eyes, 2 crimson eyes, right? Also like streaking about this like dark, shadowy cloud. And then it heads toward the vent. And it starts snaking its way up through the vent, but before it makes a full escape, Intrigue.
Can I use my blood test of binding? I assume I have to amplify it because this thing doesn't have blood, yes?
Yeah, it does not have blood, so
Okay,
take the
so I have
amplification
to
cost.
amplify. Yeah.
Okay.
That's 2. Okay, it needs to succeed on a strength saving throw.
Okay, against what?
14.
Or else what will happen?
Or else it cannot move or take reactions until my next turn. Oh, wait. No, I've amplified. 1 minute.
For 1 minute? Okay.
For 1 minute.
Okay, it fails.
Okay.
So it can't. I think. What does it look like as you like stop it from moving?
You watch as Intrigue's nose just starts to bleed, sort of simultaneously, and they reach their hand out, and the same sort of electrical energy that is up their sword goes into and out from her fingertips and sort of holds it in place like a cage.
Okay, yeah, it's you see it's like shifting form, sort of like glitching as your electricity sort of like grabs it, almost like a bad channel on a TV, right? Like the edges of it are seem to be flickering in and out of existence, and the irises are like swiveling wildly, right? And like the whites of the scleras, or like the crimson eyes are like looking at each of you, like there's only 2 of them though. Yeah, Intrigue. For now, blood streaming out of your nose, like holding it. You can feel it's like magical arcane fury, like trying to like burst out of your grasp, and you know you only have like a minute, right? That you can like hold it there for, right? But it's like straining against you. But for now, you've got this creature in your grasp, and the body of your coworker just sort of slumps to the ground unconscious. But they're not dead. Drooling onto their front. What do the 3 of you do?
Hold this very long. Just saying.
Quick question for clarification: is
Yes.
the coworker, are they at like 0 HP, or are they?
They're
like,
stable. Yeah, they're not gonna like
stable?
make
Okay,
death
okay.
saving throws. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I am going to. You guys pick Dewey or Intrigue. Which one of you looks worse?
Probably
Dewey.
Probably Dewey.
Yeah, out of character, what are you at, Dewey?
4.
Okay. What is Intrigue at?
9.
Oh my god.
Also not good.
Okay, Athena, what are you at?
I am at 18 hit points.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good.
Y'all have taken
That's
a few
good.
hits. Okay. So Athena, what are you gonna do? Can you heal?
I'm going to reach out to Dewey and say, mandatory work friend Dewey, don't worry, I've got you. And I'm going to cast Cure Wounds.
Okay. How does that work?
You see one of Athena's arms begins to shift again, and instead of a cannon or big gauntlets, it's almost like a syringe, like a healing syringe, and it has like green liquid in it. And she just goes up and pops it into Dewey's shoulder, and it injects and heals you for 9 HP.
Whew. Thank you.
That is much needed. I think what this looks like is as you inject Dewey, like your wounds begin to like cellularly reconstruct themselves, right? As like this like healing salve is like injected directly into your veins.
Is there a button or an alarm system or something in here that can close the vents, like in case of a science experiment that goes wrong? Or is this like Resident Evil, where all of the rooms are connected by unclosable vents?
This is like Resident Evil. You're pretty sure that whoever designed the URL is a sadist. Like, there's no way to close the vent outside of the administrative offices, right? Where the president of the URL presides. You don't have the clearance to close the vents, sorry.
No, didn't think so.
So what's the play here, right? As like Athena injects Cardew, let's say that takes a second, right? And like the minute is closing in on you because we're not in initiative. So like I think blood sweat starts dripping down the side of like your face as you're struggling to contain this thing. It's so freaking powerful, Intrigue. It's just like trying to break against your spell. The clock's running out. What do the three of you do?
I think Dewey is going to he's rummaging around in his pockets, giant shorts pockets, and he pulls out like a sort of like slingshots, but like made out of like office supplies, so like pens and rubber bands. That's the crossbow. He's going to fire it at one of the eyes.
Okay, go for it. I think you have advantage on this attack roll because it's restrained.
Nice, that's good because I just rolled a 5. 17.
Okay, that does hit. So roll damage with your crossbow.
4
also,
damage.
we hit 250. So if and when LT joins us, they'll also have inspiration. 4 damage. Okay, let me write that down. I think it's the first time y'all have hit this thing.
Yes.
Okay, 4 piercing. Okay, I think what this looks like actually is as the arrow streaks toward the eye swivels and moves out of the way, but it goes through the body. And you see like where the arrow spears it through, it comes out on the other side and it thunks into like the wall. But you see like a few wisps have been like thrown out, right? It looked like that did damage it, right? Like not like it was unaffected. And this thing lets out a you are just like the ones that did this to me. And Intrigue, you feel it pulse against your restraints.
What do you want?
I want to be free of this form. Secrets, terrible secrets. I have to share my terrible secrets, my discoveries. Please, someone, please listen to me. It's not too late. It's too late.
Query, how do we free you?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty hostile right now. So, Athena, I'm gonna ask you for a persuasion check.
Let's see, I got a natural 1, but I'm going to use my inspiration.
Hell yeah.
That is a 16.
Okay. I think what that means is it will answer your question truthfully, right? There's a pause, and you see both eyes swivel and fix on Athena's like glowing crimson visage, right? and this creature which doesn't have a mouth, right? This entire time, I think it's been like almost like telepathically communicating with you. You just hear its voice resounding inside your brain, like its deep guttural pained growl, like tugging at your soul inside your brain. You can't blot it out. And this creature turns its telepathy on you, Athena, but the rest of you can hear it as well. As it says, "Take it. Take my burden, the burden of this horrible, horrible secret. Just take it from me. I can't know it any longer, please."
Would you like to tell me? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, if you would like to know what the consequences of taking its secret on are, the three of you can roll like Arcana again.
plus something. Let's send that.
I got an at 20, so 23.
I also
21.
got a 23.
Oh my
So
god!
I made a good roll.
Y'all are a bunch of eggheads. I forget that y'all are like, you're like scientists. Okay. The three of you know that things are starting to piece together, right? As this thing's been communicating, as you've seen it possess this like Leonin person, right? The way its modus operandi, right? This thing seems to be driven by its need to alleviate itself of the horrible knowledge that it's uncovered, somehow related to the URL. So if you take on its horrible knowledge willingly, there is a high chance that you will become like it. That whatever curse has made it this way, whatever magical malformation has driven it to become this like incorporeal shifting shadow creature, will likely happen to you if you just take its secret like it's asking you to.
Question. I think I already know the answer, but does Athena being an inorganic being, does that counter that?
It does. Yes and no. I don't think any of you know what would happen if an automaton took it on, right? You could be fine. The same thing could happen to you, or something worse could happen. Or something just very different could happen. It's a high-risk situation, I think.
High risk, high reward, though.
Cortez, is there a high reward? Maybe.
All right, in that case, mandatory work, friends. It may be in our best interest to end this creature's suffering in a physical way.
We can
Oh.
try.
What's your plan?
Get all of our guns and weapons out and shoot it until it stops moving.
Classic URL. Classic. I thought we were coworkers. I thought you'd be able to help me, but I guess not.
We are co-workers?
I think there is a person.
Who are you?
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know. All I know is this horrible, horrible secret. That's all I know.
If I let you go, will you stay?
Ooh, that is an interesting question. Oh, you're gonna have to somehow convince it to stay. You're gonna have to give it like a little something if you want it to stay, if you let it go. Because at this point, you've attacked it. It has attacked you, fair, right? You've attacked it back, that's fair. But it needs more, right? It needs more than just you letting it go, right? Because another one of your allies just threatened it.
Intrigue will hold up their very large pile of notes and say, I take down a lot of things, many of which are probably secret. If you stay, we can listen and work this out.
Okay, interesting. Roll persuasion for me as well. Yeah. The hostile creature. Usually I don't ask for charisma checks, but we'll see.
That is a 4, so I'm going to re-roll.
Okay, yay, inspiration.
Natural 20.
Nice.
Yes! It's the best
Boy,
feeling when you re-roll onto a nat 20.
A total of 21. I don't have the best charisma.
Okay. You've convinced it for now, okay? If you promise to listen to it, write it down and talk with it, right? If you also promise a ceasefire, right? If you can guarantee that your allies won't attack it.
Yeah. If we just sit for a little bit, yeah?
Let me go. Please, just release me. It doesn't feel good.
Query, what if we had our former coworker / current coworker write down their secret so that we did not have to hear it?
Could you write if you were in one of us? Could you write?
Yes, let me in. Let me in.
No. Look at our good friend over there. Does that look like fun?
I did
No.
notice that you picked up our Leonin friend. You can hold tangible objects, it seems. Could you hold a pen or stylus?
Such an interesting way of going about this. I need blood, flesh, soul.
I've got a little bit of that left.
Are you gonna let this thing possess you, Intrigue? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Can I roll an insight check to see if it's lying?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
Roll
I
insight
will
on its
also.
true intentions about if it can actually possess a stylus or not, right?
I got a 17.
Okay, Athena.
I got a 3.
Okay, Athena, you've been programmed to detect facial expressions. This thing doesn't really have a face or body language, right? So you have to sort of take it at its word here. Intrigue, with a 17, it seems to be speaking its truth, right? It's a animal, a beast, a monster. It knows what it knows. It knows it needs blood, it needs hair, it needs teeth, it needs soul, it needs veins and cartilage, right? And you don't think that it would lie about that.
Yeah, it does need to be in a body, I think, to do anything.
And at this point, I think a minute has elapsed. I think it's safe to say
Oh,
the minute is up, right?
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
when it agreed,
Okay,
she
cool.
dropped the
Great, awesome. Did I think when you drop it, it's sort of like a small static wave erupts downward from this, and its form starts shifting again, right? But it doesn't disappear up through the vent like it wanted to. It's still sort of lingering there, carefully, like a dark cloud, considering the three of you. So what's the play here? Do y'all have another trick up your sleeve? Are you gonna agree to let it possess one of you? Are you gonna attack it? What's the plan?
I have a query.
Yes.
If you were to possess my work friend Intrigue, as she has suggested, would you let them go when you are done? And what would be the consequences of them taking you in? Is it possible that their mind would end up like our coworker here?
You speak too much. And this thing is gonna streak down toward Intrigue. And Intrigue, you're sort of looking up as you see just these black tendrils descend upon you. And I need you to make an intelligence saving throw.
12. Let me check. I think that's a 12.
Okay, a 12.
Yeah.
Not quite sufficient, but you can repeat the saving throw, right, after a certain amount of time has elapsed.
Got it. Okay.
So, Cardew and Athena, the two of you see just Intrigue getting, consumed by this, shadowy mist just swirling around, their face, right? And Intrigue, how are you responding as this thing starts seeping into your body? It burns. It's painful. It hurts.
I think she is, shrieking and, clawing at herself.
Okay, yeah, maybe you even stumble backward. Your hip checks against a workbench, right? And you stumble, right, as you're clawing at your face, trying to tear off this mist. But how can you tear off mist, right, from your body? You can't. And it sucks itself into your lungs, in through your mouth, in through your eyes, your nose, your ears. And Cardew and Athena, the two of you see Intrigue's eyes cloud over with that same like shadowy sclera with like bolts of like red like veins streaking through it. And Intrigue, how does your body language change as this thing takes over?
Intrigue is normally kind of like hunched where and like this over their like notebook. And I think it goes entirely straight. And like if you've ever seen how marionettes go when they are being held, so like stiff, all sort of very stiff and straight.
Yes, unnatural, almost like a mirror of Athena, a little bit, just stiff, hinging at the joints, head cocking side to side, like a predatory grasshopper, right? Almost like eyeing its prey, deciding whether or not to decapitate you or let you go. Yeah, and Intrigue stops screaming. And I think a note for you, Rue, is this thing's gonna speak through you, so I'll speak as this thing, but you can cut in as Intrigue trying to like wrestle control back too, right?
Okay.
As this thing, you're like, it's like you can see what's happening still, but you're not in control, right? Which is like a horrifying sensation, right? You feel this thing jerk your like arm to the side and like pick up like a glass vial and like look at it, like and its head like sort of jerks side to side, but you're not doing it. You can feel the cool hardness of the glass against your skin, but it's not you controlling your movements, right? It's horrifying.
Oh, this one is nice. This one is smart. We like this one.
No.
Athena is going to lean over to Dewey and say, I hope that Intrigue can survive this.
But if they don't, I guess you're going to win a lot of money.
Dewey sure the dirtiest look for like a split second, and then back to Intrigue, like, you still, Intrigue, are you still in there?
Yes.
Shut up, you. Go back.
And Intrigue, you feel like a sucking sensation, like a vacuum seal, as you're like drawn down to the deepest recesses of your soul, right? As this thing's like flinging you away so it can take full control for a moment here. And I think it forces you to relive a horrifying memory. So Intrigue, tell us, what's the memory?
I'm about 16, 17, and I have sort of wandered away from where we have made camp for the night, and I'm just walking, and I come across sort of like an abandoned old campsite as well, and scattered in there is like a bunch of like an alchemist's kit almost, and I am very curious as a child, and so I pick it up, and underneath it there is what the remains of a person who has very clearly been sort of like melted through by the contents of this bag. And I drop it very quickly, but it has already sort of burned the palms of my hands from the acid, as I just sort of stare down at this burned corpse, essentially.
Yeah, and I think as the acid goes through your hands, you're like looking, you're back in these woods, right? You hear the chittering of night animals, right? You can see like the light of like the stars of the night sky in Andake filtering through the canopy. It's dark all around you. You smell fresh, wet earth because it rained last night, right? That was why it was so hard to make camp tonight, because all the wood you could gather was wet. So here you're looking down. The palms of your hands are sizzling. You can smell your own flesh burning. And how are you reacting? Trying to get it off? You're rubbing it off on yourself?
Sort of like taking off my shirt and just sort of like rubbing it between my hands as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing this, but it seems to be making it worse. All you're doing is making this concoction push deeper and deeper into your body. Now you can feel You look up and you see these like blackened veins bulging on your forearm as this toxin travels into your bloodstream. And you can see it moving up past the crook of your elbow toward your heart. What did you do, Intrigue? What did you do? You tried to stop it, but you couldn't. But how did you try to stop it?
I'm going to take my knife from my boot and just sort of like slash across my forearm and try to stop it from continuing forward.
But it's not blood that spurts out. It's this like vile, like greenish, acidic, mutagenic like liquid that just sloughs off your body. And before your horrified gaze, you see your skin knit itself back together. And then you feel this horrific piercing sensation as the poison reaches your heart. And I think your boots stumble over like the desiccated corpse of the person who tried this before you, as you double over in just sheer ecstatic pain. Intrigue, how are you reacting?
I think I am just sort of like when when you are in so much pain that you can't actually make sound. You're just sort of like as sort of my body goes into like a lockdown overload.
Okay. You go into a lockdown overload, and I think you're curled up in like a fetal position for like you don't even know how long it's been until like you come to because someone rests a hand on your shoulder, eh? And you hear a voice go, "Hey, kid, you alive? You good?"
Hello. No.
You look up into the concerned face of a hobgoblin woman, right? She's crouched down next to you, right? She's got like one hand on your shoulder, and you see that she's wearing this sleeveless shirt that shows like these black tattoos are like wound up either arm. On one arm, it's like the tattoo of like a sword, just like all the way down the length of the left arm, and on the right arm is a tattoo of like a spiked gauntlet, like on her forearm. She's like holding you and like looks at you and says, "Shit, I try to track this asshole down, but listen, kid, I saw what happened to you. You're gonna be okay? But your life is going to be different. You can't go back to being normal anymore. You hear me?"
Okay. What do I do?
Take these papers. And she takes like the strewn document and like the remains of like these vials in like a case, right? And she like hands them to you. I don't know much about this disgusting splinter faction of blood hunters, but that's what you are now. You're a blood hunter. Listen, usually I'd offer to stick around and help you out, but I have something I have to do. I'm Ravi. And she holds out like a red hand.
Very shakily, Intrigue holds out their hand as well.
Shakes your hand and says, "Sorry to say this, but if you don't keep microdosing on this mutagen that changed you, you'll die. And it will hurt. And you will not go down easy. You have to keep taking this, okay? Your body chemistry, your blood is no longer just blood. It's also a toxin. And you have to learn how to control it."
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't thank me. I'm just another one of these cursed bastards. And I think like Ravi helps you up. Pats you on the shoulder. And then you're like pulled like out of this memory again, right? And time has passed since you've experienced this memory. So while Intrigue was taking a trip down memory lane, right, this creature has taken full control of their body here in the present.
Better. Quiet.
They like roll their joints. Pop, 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 pop. You hear Intrigue's neck go. Cardu, Athena, what do the two of you do?
You previously agreed that if we stand down and did not take aggressive actions against you, that you would share your secret on a piece of parchment. Please do so.
A piece of parchment. And they sort of like jerk forward with Intrigue's body, like lunging at you a little bit, but they like grab onto a sheaf of parchment that's just sort of like strewn on a nearby table. They snatch it with their hand, they like crumple it, and they like look at it.
Quill.
And they reach out and they grab a nearby quill, but like in a really ham-fisted way, and they slam this piece of parchment down and they start just like scrawling on it, right? Like with like the ink of this quill, like Cardu, you're like fearing for the nib. You're fearing for the nib of this quill as they're just like scrawling on it, right? Yeah, like bam, like down. And you see them start to draw, not words, but they start to draw a picture. Okay? And it looks like a big oval, just like a big swirling oval, like either like a whorl on a tree, right? And then they're drawing like a small like figure next to the oval, almost like a humanoid like figure facing the oval. Okay. And Cardu and Athena, both of you just make a investigation check to see if you can parse out what they're actually trying to draw.
$15.
Okay.
20, not natural.
Okay. Cardu, you can ask one follow-up question about this drawing. Athena, you can ask two. Let's start with Cardu.
Does this stick figure have like recognizable features? And if so, would I recognize them?
It has long tapered ears. I don't think it has any recognizable features outside of that. So like an elf or a drow. Or like a half-elf. Probably not a half-elf. The ears are quite long. Athena, what is your first follow-up question?
You mentioned a spiral, and something possibly pertaining to an apocalypse. What does this individual have to do with that?
Coworker.
Who?
I don't remember. All I remember is a face, a woman, a person, a
Drow.
And the two of you would be aware of a prominent drow in the URL. The president of the URL is a drow. But there's also quite a few drows who work at the URL, and outside the URL as well, obviously. Okay, those are your two follow-up questions, Athena.
They're communicated, but the real secret, this babbling madness I saw in the rift beyond it.
Nothing and everything and everything and nothing. It was empty, it was full, it was beautiful, it was painful, it was nothing at all.
And it was everything.
Would I be able to determine from that if the beyond they're talking about is that like the beyond, or are they like, is that like a metaphysical or like metaphorical beyond? Would I be able to determine?
They are speaking of a realm beyond the beyond. Okay. Which is basically like, they don't seem to be able to have the words to describe it. You know what I mean? Whereas people would be able to have the words to describe the beyond. It's the beyond. It's where the gods dwell. It's a place of magic and wonder. But this place is not the now. It is not the after. It is not the beyond. It is not the various transitional planes that bridge these three transplanar realms, right? It is somewhere apart, perhaps. And this creature, or what it used to be, seemed to maybe have glimpsed a truth of this location or this realm, right? And it seems to have made it into this entity.
Our deal, our bargain, is held. I have written you a writ, and now I keep this one.
That was not part of the agreement.
I second
Intrigue.
that. We want her back.
Intrigue, make your second int saving throw as you come back from this memory.
9.
Oh boy. Okay. You're gonna stay back there for a little bit longer, right? But you're witnessing what's happening now, right? You're no longer flung into a memory. Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Do you say that as yourself?
No. I think I just say, huh?
Back. Stay down. Good girl.
And this creature is going to, maybe we see like that, gross look like flash on Intrigue's face, right? As this thing possessing Intrigue like jerks its head toward Athena. And it's gonna like slowly like shamble and like lunge toward you a little bit and go,
You, perhaps,
your body could take me,
could free us.
If it will release my friend Intrigue, I will do so.
And this thing reaches out with its hand and like
No!
Intrigue, you shout out a no, and as it clasps Athena on the shoulder, Intrigue, make your third int save, right, to see if you can prevent this transfer from happening.
21.
Okay, that is sufficient. You're able to like, you shout out no, and it lets out a no, as you see like wisps of like black smoke like pour out of your orifices, like out of your nose, your eyes leach out of your mouth, like trail out of your ears, and start to like swirl up, and like away from your party, right? And Intrigue, you're in the driver's seat again. You're back. You're here. Oh God, the pain starts subsiding, right? But like some like the blood has like matted your face from your blood sweat.
Hello.
Mandatory coworker Intrigue, are you well? Are you in control of yourself?
No and yes.
Mandatory coworker Athena, are you also the same? 2 questions?
Are you well?
You good?
I am not good. I am Athena. Please rate my dad joke on a scale of 1 to 5.
12.
Yeah, that's a good dad joke.
No! I was so close. We were so close. We almost had a body again. We almost... No.
The suit of armor, is it whole?
It is not... It's missing an arm and a leg. The suit of armor in the corner. Okay?
Is it a body?
That is an interesting question, Intrigue. You know what? I see where you're trying to go with that. I will give you inspiration for that thought, right? But it doesn't have blood. It doesn't have veins or a heart. But I really like that idea. So you can have inspiration.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This creature, as it's freaking out, you see it starts to incorporate itself, take on a more corporeal form, let's say. See the wisps solidifying as forms like a torso and like an arm, another arm, and 2 legs of like swirling, wispy, like magic-y black tendrils, and finally a head where the 2 eyes like travel up from like its chest region, like up to its face, right? But it still has no discernible features, right? Other than the fact that it's like formed like a vaguely humanoid figure. No. I was so close! And Intrigue, because you've already been possessed by this thing. You know what's coming, so I think you can brace yourself. I won't ask for a saving throw from you. But Cardew and Athena, I'm going to ask for a saving throw from the 2 of you.
Any kind?
Intelligence?
Yes, intelligence.
25.
Do I still have inspiration?
Did you use it? I don't think so, right?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, then you can reroll.
Okay. 15?
Okay. Cardew, that is a failure.
Yeah.
So you're going to take a little bit of damage, right? And you're also going to get something else that's going to happen to you. Athena, that is a success. I will let you decide. Are you going to take damage, or are you going to let something else happen to you? It's not going to be a possession.
Interesting. I will take the damage.
Okay, how much are you at?
18.
Okay. You are going to take 12 points of psychic damage, Athena. As I think like your circuitry is like fried from this like psychic like black magical blast, right? And maybe like your body is like flung backward, and maybe you even clang into the suit of armor, right? As like your circuitry starts to go on the fritz. You see like little bits of like sparking at the joints, etc. As your this psychic blast seems to like power down some of your power cells, right? And you can feel it, Athena. You are in dire need of repairs now, right? You're sort of on your last legs here, right? Like if you don't get repaired soon, this might be lights for you. Cardew, you're gonna take just a smidge of damage, a LaCroix of psychic damage. That is going to be 2 points of psychic damage. Are you alive still?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. I rolled really low. And as you're flung back, your soul is also flung back away from your body as you enter a terrifying memory of your own, right? As you sort of like, almost like a sunken place moment, right? You sort of like fall backward, like vertigo-like, and you see like the real world sort of like fade away from you as you plunge into like an inky black recess of your soul. And tell me, Dewey, what is the terrible, no good memory you relive?
I think, all right. I think it's going to be Dewey in a crowd of people in Nabal, standing next to Tonga, and there was like a partition sort of thing that was keeping people back. Like at the end of a marathon, where everyone's waiting on the sides, and he's just waiting so anxiously. And he sees people come across the finish line, and there's Kane, and, well, is there Kane? Yeah, there's Kane, among other scary-looking individuals. And he does not see the person that he was waiting for. And he waits for probably like 5 to 10 minutes, as everyone who's arrived is celebrating, and he overhears the blue tiefling describing a kill that they made of a person that fits the description of his mentee.
Rose has like pink hair, right? That's how you describe her? Okay. Yeah, you behind this partition, like Tonga, she looks younger here, right, than in our maid campaign. Like with like dark skin as usual, chubby, with like big hair done up in these 2 buns, and like she's got goggles like on her forehead. She's like wringing her gloved fingers together, and she's going, "Oh, I don't see her. I don't see any of them. Oh, you think they're okay, Cardew?"
She's
she's
confident.
good. She's our best.
Yeah,
she's so good. Tell me she's gonna be okay, Cardew. Just tell me.
She's got to be okay.
And as you say this, you overhear a voice, right? Off to the side, Kane speaking. You see this like tiefling with midnight blue skin, this wavy blue hair, and these like beautiful curled like horns, right? Draped in these lavish robes, surrounded by so many admirers, right? Like throwing roses, giving them gifts, and you just hear them. Oh, yes. And then that little halfling person, let's say, disincorporated. Oh, and that one? Some pink-haired girl. I don't even really care. She went down like nothing. Honestly, one of the more pathetic kills of my career. You know the saddest part about it, though? She was begging for her life. And we pull back on you, Cardew. Tonga doesn't seem to have heard this. What is it? Dewey, did you see someone? Did you see her? Is Rose here? I don't see anyone.
Dewey starts stumbling backwards through the crowd.
Okay. Cardew, as you, I think, there's, a ringing noise, right, in your ears, as you just sort of, stagger backward through this crowd, and like a part of you in the present is like aware that this is a memory, right? And that you're being forced to relive it, right? But it still feels so fresh. It feels raw. It feels like the day it happened, right? Which is horrifying. Like your heart's breaking again, all over again. And then you like gasp back into your body in the present. And I think, intrigue, because you were able to shield yourself from the psychic blast, you just sort of see this thing. It looks smaller somehow, like little wisps are trailing off its form. But part of the shadow has started to flake off of its body, revealing something or someone underneath, right? You see like off its like right shoulder, like wisps are trailing off, and you see like the edge of a lab coat. You know, like you see like a dark tanned skin, right, of their neck as like the wisps begin to like trail away. But there's something wrong about the body underneath. It looks almost translucent, like it's not entirely there. Intrigue, what do you do?
First, I am going to use my mutagen. I'm going to take the vermilion one. Which gives me my blood maledict back without a short rest, but I have disadvantage on death saving throws. So I just take a shot of something from my pocket, which I just do sometimes. The two of them are like pushed back, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sort of... Oh, also, I assume they dropped my sword, yes?
No. You've still got your sword in your hand. Don't worry about it, yeah.
Okay, cool. Never mind, then I don't have to reactivate it. I'm going to put myself sort of between the shadow and the two of them, and, like, seeing that there is sort of, like, a little bit of a, like, person showing through, I'm going to like see if I can reach out and touch it.
Okay. What are you trying to accomplish here? Are you trying to like form a mode of connection with this person?
Yeah.
Okay. So roll charisma.
Okay. Just straight charisma?
Yeah, straight charisma. Or gay charisma, as we say.
Gay charisma. This is true. I got a 17.
Okay. You reach out tentatively as like more wisps start to like sort of like trail off and away from its body. And you touch it. You touch the translucent part, right? And where you touch, like, seems to cause like a ripple effect as like more of this like black shadow peels away, revealing the upper half of a person. Their face is still ensconced in shadow though, but like you see their upper torso. And you see a name tag, right, like attached to their lab coat that has the last name Kang, Kang, right, and like an open lab coat. And you see like their title, which is R&D wetware.
Mm-hmm.
R&D is research and development.
Yeah.
What is this?
Kang? Can
do you want
hear
from
me?
Yes, I think
something is affecting you. I want to see if we can get you back from it.
I don't know if you can. It was just a regular shift. I was just going down. I was archiving my reports, as you do. I must have taken a wrong turn, and then another wrong turn, and then I was... Where was I? Where was I?
It doesn't matter.
No. Doesn't matter where you were. You're here now. We are here. Here. In the present, we are here.
Here. Where is here? Where is this?
We're
This
in
is-
hardware.
Hardware.
Sector 9, yeah?
Sector
That's
9?
That's me asking. I don't
Yeah,
remember what
yes,
number we
yes,
were.
Sector 9. Yes, you're right.
Sector 9.
Why? And you see their head turn and look out the glass window where the where you'd left the shattered CU. and they like look back down at like the lower half of their body, which is still swirled with like this like shadowy wisp. Am I being taken in? Are they incinerating me?
I don't think so.
No one's incinerating you.
No.
Not.
Where am I being taken? I'm not an entity. I'm not an asset. I'm Misha. I work in wetware. I work in research and development. I'm Misha Kong. I was just on my shift, and then I don't
You don't want to remember what happens next, Misha.
Athena, you've been pretty quiet this entire time. Would you like to chime in?
Athena is currently almost dead. So I think am I allowed to cast anything in this moment that's like not an offensive spell?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. So in that case, Athena's body, where it's just kind of like crumpled against the almost finished robot, these sort of the best way I could describe it is like Dr. Octopus tentacles, but like smaller, sort of like lift her off the ground from her back, and then I'm gonna cast Mending and have them like start to repair like the damages that have been done to her chassis.
Okay. I think you do. I think you just do that. You start to like self-suture yourself as Intrigue and like Cardew handle talking to this entity that used to be a person? ? Used to be an employee here at Wetware. Athena, do you also say anything, or are you like standing back and letting your mandatory coworkers take care of this?
Is this someone that Athena would know?
I think you have access to a lot of files, right? I think your fathers would have uploaded a lot of data into your brain. So I think as you're repairing your chassis, maybe you repair the memory module, you like screw that back in, and ding! Like there's like a there's a match, right? Misha Kong, and and employees are just cross-referencing it, right? With like employees in hardware and wetware. You find a match in wetware. Misha Kong, research and development, wetware employee. Deceased, Raven 2, which was probably several days ago. But the rest of Misha's files are classified because you don't have access to wetware.
Interesting.
What do you do with this information, Athena?
Misha, query. Do you recall what happened on Raven 2?
I was working my shift. I was archiving my notes about a project I was working on. Then I must have taken a wrong turn and gone somewhere I've never been before. And then I entered this chamber where? And it's like they're glitching out, right? And every time they say where, like their translucence like shimmers, right? Like iridescent ripples, like an oil slick, like wavering on top of their exposed like dark brown skin.
If we were able to return you to wetware, could you guide us to the location that you went to?
I don't know. I need the three of you to make a perception check.
15.
Okay, 15
14.
for Intrigue, 14 for Cardew,
11.
11 for Athena. Cardew and Intrigue. The two of you hear a noise that is familiar to you, right? Perhaps almost eerie in its familiarity. It's the noise of the wall opening, right? After someone like unlocks it from the other side. And as you hear that noise, the lights that are all around you, which have been like pulsing red this entire time, like suddenly turn a steady orange, right? With like yellow lights sweeping over it. As finally, Athena, you also notice, and all three of you hear like boots, like stomping. As you see members of Wetware like filter in through the hallways, right? Heavily armed, like elite strike force members of acquisitions and release team. Right, they're all wearing this like full suit. All of them are wearing like full suit armor, but it's not like clangy plate paladin armor. It's like sleek leather armor. That's sort of like a precursor to Kevlar probably here. And all of them have like these like faceplates on, right, with like runic symbols glowing on like the faceplate to prevent psychic like interference, right, with their work. And they're all carrying like swords, like batons, like a whip, you know, like hand crossbow, etc. Some of them even have like what you all know are like prototypical guns, right? Super prototypical. You know them as like quick draws, right? That they're holding out, like one hand on the barrel, one hand on the handle, and they're all just. There's got to be at least half a dozen of them streaming in, right? Like and they start to like surround, right? Like this glass chamber, a workshop chamber that the three of you are in, right? And this entity, this person, this Misha, stops in the middle of talking. Says, "What's happening? What is this? What's going on?" As the three of you hear boots, like, thudding, right? And all of these, like, Wetware workers start, like, raise their weapons through the glass. Like, at the entity, and, as a matter of course, at the three of you as well. What do the three of you do?
Can I cast a spell?
What kind of spell?
It would be a protective buff on a party member.
Okay. Who would you want to target with this protective buff?
I would like to cast Sanctuary on Intrigue.
Okay. I think you can, then. So tell me what it looks like and what it does.
So as Athena sees all of these armed Wetware individuals coming into the area outside of the room, she gestures kind of with her fingers, like almost like solving like a finger puzzle. And as she does, like I want to say like a hexagonal barrier just sort of like waves over Intrigue briefly, like almost like a gossamer hexagonal veil, and then vanishes.
Oh, hell yeah. And that means you get to add a d4 to your saving throws, right, Intrigue? Athena?
Sanctuary is different, I think.
Okay, I might be thinking of something else.
Yeah, Sanctuary is... Hang on just one second. Sanctuary is you ward a creature within range against attack. Until the spell ends, any creature who targets the warded creature with an attack or harmful spell must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. The spell doesn't protect the warded creature from area of effects such as explosion or fireball.
Okay.
If the warded creature makes an attack, casts a spell that affects an enemy, or deals damage to another creature, the spell ends.
Okay, cool. I think I was thinking of Bless. All right.
Yeah.
So cool. These gossamer threads like shudder into existence around you, start to fade off. Cardew, how are you reacting as muscular members of Wetware barge into the space?
I don't want them closer. I'm gonna take a pouch out of my pocket, I guess, and scatter shrapnel caltrops around us so so Wetware doesn't get closer. I want to figure this out before they, rush us.
Okay, you scatter the caltrops around. They sort of like disguise themselves among the debris that's already strewn across this destroyed like workshop chamber. Intrigue, what do you do?
I'm going to deactivate my bloodright and put away my scimitar. And I'm just going to, with both hands, just sort of like reach out and try to hold Misha and say, I know this is difficult, but I need you to focus on me, okay?
What's happening? What's going on?
You brought something back with you, and it's not good.
Why are they pointing weapons at me? What? I'm not an entity! I'm not an asset, I'm a person!
You are a person. Yes.
And maybe on you, like, trying to calm them down. The three of you hear through, like, muffled masks, right? Like, one of the wetware employees go, "Stand down, hardware employees! Don't get in the way! Duck!"
Pigeon, actually. Give us 1 second. We.
Pigeon actually.
I do not duck. I'm like, give us a second. I gotta figure this out. And I turn back. I'm like, continue. Not an entity.
I'm also not ducking.
Okay. Athena, you have been given a direct order. Do you obey or do you disobey?
There's a moment where Athena begins to obey. And she starts to duck and disengage. But as that directive is going through her head, an additional directive comes to meet it, almost like two players on opposite sides of a chessboard. The one being the directive to disengage and duck, the other almost coming in the voice of her father's, saying that she is to protect life. She weighs the scenario as the two, like, in her head, it's almost like the chess pieces are moving back and forth of the two different directives sort of competing against each other. And then she finally comes to the checkmate thought of, if I back away and disengage, if I duck and I leave, intrigue, I leave Dewey and I leave Misha here alone with no support or anything else, then I am risking losing their lives. And more important than following the directives of these soldiers from Wetware is following the directives of my fathers to preserve life. And so instead of ducking, she is going to step forward and put herself between Intrigue, Dewey, Misha, and the Wetware soldiers.
Okay. Wow. How beautiful. I love all of these responses. All three of you take a point of inspiration. That was amazing. And I also get inspiration because we hit 275. Ooh.
Oh,
yay,
no.
Yay. Ooh. I love this moment where, like, the three of you maybe, like, stand up, and, like, you shield yourselves, and also you shield Misha, right, who just sounds so scared and confused, and there's some sort of, shadow thing happening. You're not exactly sure what that is entirely, but, mate, you're so close to getting the truth. You're so close to getting to the secret of what's going on. And then you hear the same person go, "Stand down. We don't want to shoot you. We can't shoot other employees. Just stand down, okay?
You can't shoot other employees. You can't shoot her either.
That's not an employee. That's an entity. That's breached containment. We need to exterminate it. Now."
No, she's wearing her uniform. It's Misha.
At this, the members of the acquisitions and release team pause and they, like, look at each other. Like, they're not quite sure what to do here. Right? Because there's also directives, like, the URL is bureaucratic and messed up, right? But they wouldn't, like, shoot an employee, like, point blank in the face, right? And the three of you are standing up and not standing down, so you're sort of at a ceasefire here, sort of at a stalemate, right? And then the three of you hear another set of footsteps coming into the hallway. And pulling into view from behind this line of soldiers, basically, you see a person in a immaculately tailored suit and this velvet tie that's just, like, pure black, and, like, shaved on the sides with, like, coiffed white hair, these piercing obsidian eyes, a drow woman. This is the president. She is the president of the URL. She presides over both wetware and hardware, and she's the founder of this organization. Right. And she's not armed. She doesn't have a protective carapace on, anything at all. Her fingers are steepled against the front of her chest. And she stops behind the captain of the strike team, right? And she turns. She looks all three of you dead in the eye. She smiles and says, "Shoot." And I need the three of you to make a strength save.
This is why you gave us inspiration.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
This
ahead
is
and
why
use
you
my
gave us inspiration.
Natural 20,
Yes, natural 20 from Brew.
which is a 19 because I have an 8 in strength.
Okay.
I'm
19
a
from...
dexterous blood hunter.
Wonderful. 19 from Intrigue.
19
from
plus
Athena.
0.
Okay, 19 from Athena. Cardi?
18.
18.
I used my inspiration.
Great. The three of you save. I'm also going to have Misha save.
Oh no.
That was an 18, so I'm going to use my inspiration to reroll that.
Connie using their inspiration for good?
Never.
No, it's for bad. He's going to fail.
The three of you stomach the blow as simultaneously you hear like explosions, like gunshots basically go off, right? As well as like crossbow bolts just like shooting through the glass, and you hear like this glass all around you just shatter, right? And the three of you take it, right? You take it. You're gonna take half damage each. So what are the three of you at, actually? Let me check in.
9.
Okay, 9 for Intrigue.
11.
Okay, 11 for Cardew.
Well, question: how much healing did mending give me?
Oh, it doesn't typically heal, but let's say it healed you for your proficiency bonus.
I have 8.
Okay. 6 is half. 6 points of force damage, right? Just from all directions as your bodies are pummeled, right? By the president's order to shoot. The entity does not do so well. I think the majority of them were trained on Misha anyway, so the vast majority, you see like harpoons lance through the entity, you see like bullets just like pellet through the entity's like body, right? You see like crossbow bolts, you see arrows just streaking through it. And Misha / the entity are just like, ow,
Ow, you, how dare you?
ow, that hurts, please stop. As they're just struck through with like all of these projectiles, right? What do the three of you do as they begin to glitch, and they start to discorporate entirely, right? Sort of like a Thanos snap, right? They start to just like disintegrate, right? Slowly from the bottom up. No.
Am I able to touch them?
Yes, you are.
Then I'm going to reach out, touch Misha's shoulder, and cast Cure Wounds.
Oh, okay, I like that. So how? Yeah, roll to heal.
Can I also roll to heal?
Oh my god.
It's just a 6.
Why were you healing yourselves? Okay, just a 6 from Athena. What about for Cardi?
Oh, well, also a 6.
Okay, that's 12 total. Intrigue. Actually, Cardi, tell me what it looks like as you heal. As you try to heal Misha.
I think I was about to like try and patch up some of our wounds anyway, so I had like a piece of, let's say, gauze in my hand, and as I fall backwards, I like slap it the way you would like try and slap like a, I don't know, like a blanket being pulled away. Try and get the edge of Misha's form.
Okay. I think, though the two of you know this is through no fault of your own, this would heal someone who's organic, right? But in this form, Misha is not entirely organic, right? Similar to how like undead and constructs can't regain HP, right? Like you reach out and you try to like touch Misha, you know, like stop this process from happening, but it's not working. You do slow it down a little, though, I think. Like, they're not going to disappear immediately. So I think due to your help, Cardew and Athena, Misha is able to get out like a final sentence, right, to the three of you. But before we get there, intrigue. What are you doing as Cardew and Athena rush forward to try to help Misha?
I am still putting myself between them and the wetware, and now the president. And if the first person that tries to move to do any more damage, I'm going to cast the Blood Curse of the Binding on immediately.
Okay, you are like readying this, feature, and you're like so protective and like standing, like not standing down, right? Even in the face of this president. Okay. And I think like, as you see like like Misha's legs disappear, like their torso disappear, you hear them go, no, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to go. Please, please, please. As it like ripples up to their neck. And then the shadowy wisps that were covering their face disappear to reveal Misha Kong. And Misha Kong was a half-elf person with dark brown skin, this like curly black hair, and these like bright crimson eyes, right? And they just look like a normal person. They were just another human being working here, just like the rest of you. Except Athena, because you're not a human being. And none of you are humans, but you know what I mean. A person being. No, but in this touching moment, Misha, as like their face begins to flicker away, look, and they say in tones only the three of you can hear. So the president doesn't hear this, the rest of the wetware people don't hear this, and they just go, you have to stop it. You have to close it, okay? There's a... And their voice starts cutting out. There's a rift. There's a portal to the dimension. In wetware, there's a to the dimension. It's empty. And Misha disappears.
Sorry.
Employees 2694, 9225, and ATHENA. I'll have you file a liability report. Speak of this to no one. Or else. ANR? And the president turns and leaves, taking with her the rest of the acquisitions and release team. I think maybe on this grim scene of the three of you standing, like forming a triangle, right? At like, just like a small pile of dust, I think, where Misha's body used to be. Shattered remains of this workshop chamber around you. We're gonna cut to our epilogues. So where you are and what you're doing during these epilogues is largely up to you, but I think they're all in the form of a report of the events of this, right? So like, I think what would be great is y'all like give me a little spiel with your report, and then like you like narrate it and tell me like where you are as you're filing this report. So who has something? Actually, let's start with Cardew. Okay, let's start with Dewey. Dewey, how does your report of this case, of this project, go? Your formal report, right?
It details the mechanical failings of the containment unit we were supposed to create, or that we created, and corrections for next time, and like the materials breakdown, and like a step-by-step description of what happened in up until the explosion, I think. And then it says employee has no recollection of events afterwards.
Okay. We finished filing this report. Where do we find you as you like write the final word on this?
I think I am at my desk. At my desk, and I guess you wouldn't fold the form. I lift the form up, and underneath, I think there's like a notebook where Dewey has transcribed what Misha said to him before they poofed.
I really like that. Okay. And I think you get someone knocks on your door. Knock, knock, knock.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Quirk, I have a message from you from the outside.
Outside, yeah. What is it?
Here.
And this little like gnome person, like this message person, like comes in and like hands you like a rolled up sealed scroll, right?
Mhm.
And the outside of the scroll just says, to Cardew Quirk from Adbuta Birala. And I think maybe we cut away, right, from like Dewey's scene on that like reach out letter, right? And now we are going to go to, let's do intrigue. Cut to intrigue for your epilogue. So tell me what intrigue writes in their formal report.
This is perhaps the shortest formal report that Intrigue has ever filed, because normally Intrigue includes their 20-something odd pages of notes, which some poor asshole has to read later. But this time, Intrigue only includes the notes from the 60 minutes or so they waited for Wet to bring people. So it's just 60, like it's like 4 or 5 pages of notes that are just about the people that walk past. And then similarly to Dewey, she writes about the containment chamber and how she failed to consider to cushion the roof, and that is how it escaped. And there is a drawing of the cracked puck and the eye. And then after that, like Intrigue submits their notes as the full notebook and like gets a new notebook every time. The pages have been like ripped out and destroyed. And there is a note that says that the notebook was damaged during the incident. So the notes on the following pages were lost. And then the final notes are that the entity was dealt with, but the containment unit was a failure and will need to be scrapped and started again.
I really like that. We do have an auto crit on the board for you, Intrigue, for your epilogue. So where do we
Oh.
find you when you finish filing this report, when you're done with it?
I don't know that Intrigue has their own desk or like office necessarily like Dewey does. I think she just kind of like has a little like lab hole that they tend to like bunker down in. And so it is also where they like make them mutagen things in the corner. And so she is there and has made sure that it is like a very late time in the lab when no one else is there. And is in the process of transferring the notes that were definitely damaged during the incident from that notebook into a private notebook that she keeps with their mutagen craft things, and pouring a variety of chemical concoctions over the pages as she does so to destroy them.
Okay, I'm gonna have you make a sleight of hand check to see if you're able to aptly destroy these notes.
I suppose I will use the auto crit because I rolled a 3.
Okay, great. Tell me how you just obliterate these notes to oblivion.
I think I have sort of made an acid that purposefully eats away the pigments of the inks that I use. And so the paper is still there, but the ink has sort of turned into this inky, black, shadowy mess that kind of is reminiscent of the shadows that came and poured off of Misha. So it perhaps looks as if they were corrupted by the same entity that we were supposed to be transporting.
Ugh, that is so good. That is such a great touch. And you're like in this darkened room by yourself, like watching these like wisps of shadow like rise up. You're like looking down at it, right? And what's like the last thing like you say? Like what's like the parting shot that we have of Intrigue?
I think Intrigue has the last page of the notes that she kept in her secret notebook is Misha's drawing of the director, but like really vague. And then on the opposite page, Intrigue has drawn the director, but like not vague. And they close their book and they say, "It will not be for nothing."
I really like that. And I think our closing scene for Intrigue ends on a message being dropped in your like little like cubicle like box. A handwritten message summons from the director, asking to see you in her office privately. And then we are going to cut to Athena for Athena's epilogue. Athena, tell us what your mission report says.
So you see Athena sitting at her desk, and she is she's in that kind of trance that automatons go into. So she's just sort of looking forward, not looking at anything. And her casing, instead of it being that dull gray that she had in the beginning, it's now chrome silver. And her fingers are like dual writing her report, and it's all surgical. Like it's just factual, like at, X time this happened, at X time this happened, at X time this happened, at Y time Intrigue beat me in Boulder Parchment Shears, at, and just like literally every step of what had happened over the course of the event, emitting exactly what she was directed to omit. Nothing about Misha, nothing about if she was given a directive to not even mention the containment breach, then it wouldn't even mention the containment breach. Everything is just super surgical. And while she is filling that out in her head, she's replaying what happened and watching the scenario of like, how could I have protected life better? How could I have succeeded in my father's directive to preserve life instead of allow it to expire? And she finishes, and it's the same kind of report that anybody that that Athena reports to would expect from her. It's just plain and to the point.
Okay. I think as you like finish the sitting in your room by yourself, staring forward at like a blank wall, right? And I think your fathers have given you some enrichment toys in your room. So it's not just like a blank room with no bed, because you don't need to sleep really in a bed, and like a desk for you to write your reports on. So what's one of your favorite enrichment toys that your fathers have given you?
Oh man. I'm gonna say it's the the bird that like dips its beak into the water and then bounces back out, and then dips its beak into the water and bounces back out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay, she has that just on her desk in front of her.
Oh my god. You're watching this bird go, right? And then you hear a knock, a familiar knock at your door. Rap, 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 rap. Which is what Dr. Ado knocks with, which is one of your fathers.
Please enter.
The door creaks open, and you smell something, like your olfactory receptors are going, the smell of like a baked good, right? Like a nice, like a mooncake. Oh, actually, sorry. Moons don't exist here. A star cake. I keep forgetting that. A star cake. As your father comes in, Maka, and he's flanked by your other father, Dr. Samoset Shore Thunder. And why don't you tell me quickly what Maka and Samoset look like?
Sure. Maka is he's a bit of a science jock, and somehow manages to be a himbo at the same time. He's very muscular to the point where his lab coat might be like a half size too small, and you're a little worried that one of the buttons on his tunic might pop. Just from the breadth of his chest muscles.
I'm fully imagining that character from Full Metal Alchemist. You know what I mean? The state alchemist, the big buff dude.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And he has very rich, like dark tawny skin. And there's like a series of symmetrical black tattoos that go over his face and sort of go down the neck. And his hair is long and coiled and sort of pulled back into a ponytail at the nape of his neck. And then next to him, Samoset he's a much slighter man. He's where Maka is like 6'2", Samoset is like 5'9", 5'8", very wiry. He has a very like burnt rust-colored skin, with very straight black hair that comes down to just a little bit below his chest. The back of it is sort of braided down the back of his neck, and his lab coat fits like it should. But they both, the two of them, just look like the kindest individuals ever, like almost incongruous to the environment of URL.
I really like that. Maka comes in holding a tray, a plate with like piled high with like star cakes and also like little bits of like crackers and baked goods from all across Andake, like from all sorts of holiday traditions, like all across the 8 like nations, right? And Maka goes, Athena, we got a surprise for you. Da, 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 da. And he sort of like comes forward with a little dance and like sets his plate down in front of you. We thought you might like to broaden your palate beyond just oil.
I see, Father One. Am I able to consume this?
Well, the upgrades we did after your chassis was a little injured during your previous mission do include a vestigial sac. Stomach, darling. We can just keep using stomach. Yes, stomach for you. And we added taste buds in your mouth.
She wastes no time and grabs a star cake and just shoves it in her mouth.
Whoa, slow down. We also added the ability for you to burp.
Query, what?
Slow down, dear. Just take your time chewing. Technically, it's not polite to talk while you eat in certain countries.
Noted. She kind of swallows hard after a minute, which is a new sensation for her because she's used to just, like oil.
Filed the old mission report, did ya?
I did.
Good. We'll make sure to submit it for you.
Is everything all right?
Your fathers glance at each other. And Athena, you also have an autocrit, just so you know. Would you like to roll insight?
I sure would.
Okay.
Well, that's a 10, so I'm going to use that autocrit.
Yeah! Yes! We're using everything we earned! Okay. I forgot that you didn't have to roll for the autocrit. That's why I paused. The look being exchanged between your fathers is one of hesitation and like a knowing look. Athena, did you tell your fathers about what happened, or did you like not, either like to follow your directive or like presumably to protect them?
She would absolutely not tell them because she would know
Okay.
that that would put them at risk.
Okay, with that auto crit, you know they know. You don't know how, but they know. They know the truth of what happened on your previous mission. And with your auto crit, I'll let you ask a follow-up question about that, or you can hold it and ask any question about anything later in the scene.
I'm gonna hold it.
Okay. Maka and Samoset pull up like chairs next to you, and Maka actually like twiddles with like a switch on a wall, and you see like the main wall in this room starts like turning translucent to offer a beautiful view of Nawa Island. Right? And I think it's nighttime. There's like dark sky speckled with stars that just sort of glimmer like multitudinously, like in the night sky. You see the storm has died down. You see like the black Hema Sea rippling on the horizon, and like the various like just flora and fauna, like dark and green and verdant and rich and lush, just sprawling out in front of you. Like a beautiful plate of food that you've never gotten to taste. And Maka says, Athena, we don't want you to beat yourself up too much about what may or may not have happened in recent days. Yes. And this is your other father, Father 2. Part of what it means to be a person is to make decisions that we thought were right in the time and probably were the best decisions we could have made, but still bad things happen. Part of being a person is living with regret. Shame, guilt, fear, hatred, all emotions that we were careful not to program into you, but it seems life finds a way. Perhaps you've experienced these emotions organically on your own, and we just want you to know, Athena, our daughter, we love you. We accept you for who you are, and we know you can be so much more than what we've programmed you to be.
But what if I fail again?
Both of your fathers, like, rest their hands on your hands. Samoset says, You didn't fail, Athena. You were put in an impossible situation with impossible decisions. There's no winning. There's just the less violent end. I really hope, daughter, that you won't have to go through a situation like that again in your life, but the way things are shaking out at the URL, you might have to.
Query, what do you mean by this?
I think what Father 1 means simply is that we're always innovating. And in the face of innovation, unusual circumstances arise. Samoset and Maka are talking around like a thing that they know is going to happen. Would you like to spend your hold to ask a question about it?
I certainly would.
Okay, what is your question?
The words you say are not direct. You seem to be speaking around a subject. Is there innovation coming down the pipeline that worries you?
Athena, your father and I have been offered a promotion. This could change our lives. It would change our lives. We'd be able to send even bigger remittances back home. We'd be able to make incredible innovations that could save lives and change the future of Andake for good. But it comes with strings.
What strings are these?
They want us to make you into a warbot. The classified name is Warforged.
But that is not the directive that you have given me.
No, it's not. So, the choice is yours, Athena. Either you stay here with us, and we have to make you into a Warforged. Or there's an accident, you get shipped out. Maybe you travel Andake for a little.
See, she sort of walks towards the translucent window, looking out over the Hema Sea. Hypothetical. Suppose I leave. What would happen to the two of you?
Well, we are assets of our own to the URL. If we lost you, we would be forgiven, I think. But the pressure would be on to make another you. A different kind of you, Athena. A Warforged. Many of you, actually.
If I were to stay, is there anything I could do to prevent this?
I don't know. I don't know if there is. The President, she might decommission you if you resist.
I see. You are my fathers. What would you have me do?
Maka and Samoset look at each other, and then they turn to you. And Maka says, part of being a father is knowing when to let go of your children. The choice is yours, Athena. This is the first real choice in a lot of ways we're going to give you. What do you want to do?
Athena stands rigid, like she always does. She looks at her fathers, and there's the sound of a click, as if a photograph has been taken. And her eyes sort of flash. She's looking over them. Life will be different without the two of you. If you are giving me a choice between decommission, being turned into something that could cause violence, or freedom and the potential to stop violence in the future, in order to follow your directive, I must choose the most latter.
Good choice, kiddo. Good choice.
You see at the corner of her left optic unit, perhaps it's like engine lubricant or oil, but it drips down the side of her face. She sort of reaches up to touch it, and there's a smear mark now on her chrome cheek. But she looks at it and looks at the two of them. I will always love you.
And we'll always love you too, Athena. No matter what happens. We're always right here. And Maka and Samoset step forward, and they both place a hand over your chest, where your mechanical heart beats. And I think on that, your father's touching your chest, and like limbed by like the starlight pouring in from the outside, right, as like rain begins to fall and beat against the window, mirroring the tear that dribbled down your cheek. We're gonna end this one shot. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in to Hazard Pay, which I thought was gonna be like alien isolation survival horror, but turned into like, I'm a real girl. And also like falling in love with the monster just a little bit with intrigue. I was like, it's a little queer. That's a little homosexual. So
It is. It is a little homosexual. You're not
and
wrong.
Cardew just being like, I'm a bad dad in the corner. Thank you all so much.
my God.
Wow. We hit $325. That is amazing. Thank you all so much for giving. That means so much to us. I've been your GM, Connie, pronouns they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter, Itch, and Patreon at Bye Connie Chong. Yes, through Patreon. For only as low as $3 a month, you can support me and get some exclusive goodies into my GM tips, etc., etc., etc. I promise you it's worth it. And I'm going to pass along introductions to Max.
Hello, I'm Max. I go by they them pronouns. I play Bad Dad in the Corner Dewey. You can find me on Twitter at Starchmonger, but I don't post a lot. But that's where I am. I'll pass it to Moonin.
Oh gosh, I'm still recovering from the from the last scene, but I'm Moonin. You can find me on Twitter and eventually on Twitch at Velask Goodbye, VELASKGOODBYE. I tweet a lot about Destiny and D&D. I've been DMing Dungeons and Dragons for a long time, but I don't do anything online. Maybe I will in the future. Who knows? But this was wonderful and it was great to play with all three of you. But let me pass it to Rue.
I'm Rue. I use they or he pronouns, and I have been playing Intrigue, who used they or she pronouns. Not unclear. You can find me on Twitter as at Ilana Knight 13 and just Ilana Knight on Itch and everything else. You can also find me every other Tuesday. I GM a survival horror game on Heroes Without Limits, and I do game development and sensitivity reading.
Fantastic. And with that, just a quick outro spiel. This is the halfway point of Shoot Your One Shot. So tune in next Wednesday. We're moving to Wednesdays, not Tuesdays anymore. I believe that is going to be July 28th at 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time for our next one featuring Erica Newgirl, our favorite VNOC Scherzo, elf, sorcerer, con woman, before she's become slightly more reformed, with a gang of bandits breaking in a heist mission to the slumbering palace of Dokao in Toulon to steal a valuable book. It's gonna be a heist. It's gonna be next week. Tune in then. But before then, tune in this Saturday at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time on July 24th for the next episode of our main D&D campaign set in Andake. With our all-trans POC-led cast, you can catch up. We have a podcast now. We just released episode 4 of Arc 1, so you can catch up on Transplanar RPG if it's easier for you to consume content, actual play content through a podcast form. Dropping us a 5-star review or just rating us, not even reviewing us, right, on Apple Podcasts is so immensely helpful for engagement and reach. So please just search Transplanar RPG, Apple Podcasts, and drop us that 5-star review. We would be so grateful. Also follow us on Spotify at Transplanar RPG. And with that, we also have our Patreon. As low as $3 a month, you can get exclusive updates. And if you bump up to $8 a month, then you will get character journals and early access to our podcast episodes. And there's a lot of fun rewards you can get if you pledge to us on Transplanar RPG at patreon.com. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. We love you so much. We're gonna raid GV Anna, who is a trans Splatoon 2 player. I believe she's also a person of color. So let's go in there and show them some love. Thank you all so much, and peace.